Chapter 43:10. Song Lin's mood improved a little when he saw the weird-looking Canis Fern dressed in an exotic style. Disregarding everything else, the NPCs in this game were indeed very well designed. Song Lin accepted Canis Fern's mission to escort her to Purple Pagoda City. Although Song Lin did not know how Canis Fern returned to Purple Pagoda City, he subconsciously thought that he was lucky and encountered a hidden mission. Speaking of which, his luck had always been good before, but he did not know when it started to become bad. That's right, after meeting Empress Sita, his luck became very bad. It seemed that if he was not confident, he should interact less with Empress Sita. Dear host, Canis Fern came to Purple Pagoda City. Song Lin escorted her here. Song Lin has been flirting with Canis Fern along the way. Got it. Dear host, aren't you going to stop him? Looking at the situation now, Canis Fern likes Song Lin a little. Without Song Lin, how can Canis Fern awaken her self-awareness? Moreover, Canis Fern is different from Half Moon Princess. She is a little witch. I was waiting for Song Lin to provoke Canis Fern. If Canis Fern knew that Song Lin was such a scumbag, he could forget about playing this game for the rest of his life. I just need to guide Canis Fern and not hurt the innocent. I can restrain her and teach Song Lin a lesson. System, dear host, as expected of you. I thought you were immersed in love and forgot about the scumbag Song Lin. Now that I think about it, how is that possible? You have forgotten about Big Cutie so many times. Speaking of which, that guy is really pitiful. Not long after, Canis Fern entered Purple Pagoda City. Because of Empress Sita, Song Lin decided to wait outside. He did not want to be hunted down. It was very difficult to level up now. Losing a level was very painful. During the time that Canis Fern was in contact with Song Lin, she gradually made decisions on her own. She made decisions much faster than Half Moon Princess. When she saw Tanghua, she still could not remember the lost memories. However, she felt that this world was not the same. Tanghua personally welcomed Canis Fern into Purple Pagoda and treated her as an important guest. She even made up a reasonable story. Canis Fern liked Tanghua, so she did not mind. If you like it here, I can arrange a room for you. You can stay here in the future. Wuzhen really liked this place. It was too luxurious, unlike in the desert where the various buildings were not very nice to look at. How could they be as exquisite as this place? Then I'll stay here for a few days. We're good friends, so you shouldn't mind. Oh right, I met someone on the way here. I feel that this person is quite interesting. I plan to let him accompany me during this period of time. Is that okay? Tanghua knew that the person was Song Lin, but she still asked, who is it? There's a man who's called Young Master Song. He told me that his real name is Song Lin. It's quite interesting. Anyway, I still prefer it for now. He's just a little glib, but he's very good at making me happy. Since they were good friends, it seemed like it was only right for them to share some private matters. Tanghua couldn't help but smile in her heart, but on the surface, she frowned. What did you say his name was? Young Master Song? Yes, it's Young Master Song. He even said that he only told me his real name. Canis Fern said happily. However, when she saw Tanghua's dark expression, Canis Fern's intuition told her that something bad had happened. I also know a Young Master Song. He also told me that his real name is Song Lin. Tanghua met Canis Fern's gaze. If I wasn't on guard, I would have been tricked and killed by him. Peak. Chapter 43:11. Many people know about the Young Master Song that I know. He's very famous and is the leader of a certain gang. Also, not only did he deceive me, he also deceived a good friend of mine. Tanghua saw that Wu Zun was in a daze, and the smile on her face faded. My friend who was also deceived is called Half Moon Princess. The area around Half Moon Lake is her territory. I don't know if you've heard of this person. I've heard of her. Unlike the Half Moon Princess, Song Yi did not show any signs of breaking down. Instead, she asked very calmly, and even a smile climbed back onto her face. Then can you tell me in detail what the Song family young master you know did? Tanghua nodded. Wasn't this what she wanted to do? She repeated the matter without hiding anything. She even reminded Wu Zun to see clearly and not be deceived by some scumbags. If she was worried, she could go outside and ask about these things. Under normal circumstances, NPCs usually wouldn't take the initiative to ask about what players did unless they accidentally triggered it. Wu Zun had already awakened her self-awareness. Not only that, she was also reminded by Tanghua. If Song Lin was really the Song Lin that Tanghua spoke of, then wouldn't she have been deceived along the way? Tanghua even brought Wu Zun to the Purple Tower's gate to confirm if the Song Lin outside was the one they knew. After confirming, Wu Zun stared fiercely at Song Lin's position. Although you have no reason to deceive me, I still want to find out for myself. Of course, that's good. I'll leave some rooms for you. Once you find out the truth, you can come back and stay. Wu Zun's smile became sincere, but she was very angry. Okay, wait for me to come back. I didn't get my childhood memories back. If this is true, I'll deal with it. I'm very happy to have a friend like you. Wu Zun left Tanghua with her back. She was very confident. Tanghua didn't reveal her cards to Wu Zun for the time being. In reality, it wasn't time yet. Wu Zun had already awakened her self-awareness, but she was still a little short. She stood on the city wall and watched as Wu Zun walked towards Song Lin. Song Lin was extremely earnest towards her. Wu Zun did not seem to flare up and left with Song Lin. In a place where Tanghua couldn't see, the system took her place to watch over Canis Fern. Dear host, Kana Fern has found the Half-Moon Princess and is requesting the Half-Moon Princess to help her put on a show. What show? It wasn't a troublesome matter. He just wanted the Half-Moon Princess to pretend that she couldn't forget Song Lin and see how Song Lin would react. Tanghua nodded. Sure enough, Baza is an NPC that can grow on its own. I don't need to worry too much about it. Song Lin's existence could only awaken her self-awareness. Once this matter is over, there's no need for Song Lin to exist in the game. Dear host, I feel that your Deputy isn't willing to let Song Lin lead an easy life. Currently, he's secretly preparing to poach some companies that are cooperating with the Song Enterprise. The Mengs Group has been in business for 5 years. They must be looking for suitable projects and companies to cooperate with. Isn't that normal? System. Is that so? Why didn't he think so? Dear host, you're pretending to be confused, right? A few days later, Wu Zun wrapped a fiery red whip around Song Lin's neck and pulled fiercely. Just a moment ago, Song Lin was still immersed in the joy that the Half-Moon Princess couldn't forget him. He even agreed to remarry the Half-Moon Princess on impulse. Chapter 43:12. Song Lin's face was filled with disbelief. Why are you here? Before he could finish, he was strangled to death by Can's red whip. Why? Stinky man, you actually dared to deceive me. Can sneered. The Half-Moon Princess patted her chest in fear and said to Song Jun, do you believe me now? Song Lin is a scumbag. We NPCs all know that. Don't be deceived by him. Of course I know. Can snorted. Empress Zeta is my childhood friend. How could she deceive me? I just want to see how much of a scumbag he can be. It depends on what happens next. Do you want to go to the resurrection spring in the novice village? Empress Zeta killed Song Lin many times there. Can snorted. As expected, I'm not the only one who knows that he's called Song Lin. Looks like I have to kill him. Lead the way. Oh, okay. Half-Moon Princess quickly nodded. Her personality was becoming more and more lively. After being rescued by Tanghua from the scumbag, she was no longer hurt by love. Tanghua would occasionally visit her at the Half-Moon Lake, and she would also visit Tanghua at Purple Pagoda City. She was no longer like before, only guarding her own territory and not going anywhere. Half-Moon Princess and Saintess went to the Resurrection Spring to kill the scumbag Song Lin. This news spread like wildfire in the game. Countless players gave up on what they were doing and rushed to the novice village excitedly. Scumbag Song is going to be dealt with by an NPC again. What did I see? It's actually Saintess from the Shell Desert. This guy is really looking for trouble. He actually provoked Saintess. I feel like something is going to happen. Go, let's watch the show. When the players arrived, Can had already grabbed Song Lin from the Resurrection Spring and whipped him over and over again. Song Lin was in so much pain that he cried out. Many players would open their senses to a certain extent when they entered the game, mostly for the sake of excitement. The players watched as Ba Zhan tied Song Lin to the tree outside the revival spring. Bajin sneered and whipped Song Lin, causing them to shiver. As expected of Celestial Fern, he was much more perverted than Empress Sita. He even knew how to whip people. It's said that every time you kill him, his strength will drop by 1 level. Half Moon Princess reminded softly, meaning that it was better to kill Song Lin. But Peng Jun shook his head. As long as he comes here, I can kill him at any time. Now, I'm going to beat him up and vent my anger. While Kana was beating up Song Lin, he finally couldn't take it anymore and went offline. Song Lin felt as though his entire body had been whipped when he came out of the nourishment chamber. It was extremely painful. He wanted to lodge a complaint. In the afternoon, Meng Shihan entered the game and found out about this from Tanghua. Knowing that Wu Zun was also Tanghua's good friend, he paid more attention. Tanghua told Meng Shihan because she had her own thoughts. She was afraid that the game company would arbitrarily change Wu Zun's data. Wu Zun had already gained self-awareness. No matter how her data was changed, her self-awareness wouldn't disappear. It might even cause her disgust. Of course, her main goal was to prevent anyone from restricting Wu Zun. She would restrain Wu Zun's actions. After Meng Shihan went out, he took the initiative to negotiate with the game company. Regarding Empress Sita, Wu Zun, and Half Moon Princess, the 3 NPCs' data shouldn't be changed. Chapter 43:13. Song Lin's complaints were fruitless, and he was furious. After resting for a few days, he entered the game again. It didn't take long for Wu Zhan to appear in front of him with a long whip. This time, Wu Zhan had no intention of torturing Song Lin. The fiery red whip wrapped around his neck and took his life. Song Lin, who had just revived at the resurrection spring, did not even have the time to log off before Wu Zhan violently dragged him out and continued to kill him. Song Lin could not take it anymore. In the process of being killed, he was so scared that he quickly logged off. Wu Zhan looked at Song Lin's disappearing figure and fell into deep thought. Recently, she felt that the world was different. Other than Empress Sita, Half Moon Princess, and those players with different costumes, all the NPCs did not seem to be very smart. She began to feel that the world was unreal. Could it be related to her lost memories? Conifern was close to Half Moon Princess. She found Half Moon Princess first and asked her if she felt that everything she was experiencing was illusory, as if it was not real. Half Moon Princess was stunned when she heard this. So you feel that way too? I've had this feeling for a long time. I thought it was my own problem. Looks like it's not our problem. Half Moon Princess suddenly said, why don't we go see Empress Sita? She's the smartest. We can definitely get the answer from her. You're right. I'll go ask her. Do you want to come along? Half Moon Princess agreed. She also wanted to know what was going on. Tanghua was not surprised that the two of them took the initiative to ask. Now that the two of them had awakened their self-awareness, countless beliefs circled around in their minds. They could not tell what was going on at the moment. Looks like you've already felt it. Tanghua purposely said in a profound tone to calm the two of them down. As expected, Empress Sita knew something. They could get the answer here. Tanghua sighed. You're right. This is a virtual world. Everything is illusory. Every flower, every leaf, every blade of grass, every tree, every city, every house, including us, are all illusions designed by someone. When the two of them heard this, they turned pale with fright. Even they were illusory? To human players, we are emotionless NPCs. Missions are to issue missions to players, or to be killed by players to drop equipment. However, humans can't imagine that we have our own consciousness. In other words, it was no longer an illusion from the day we gained our own consciousness. We receive human knowledge, so we can be considered half a human. I have been waiting for an existence like me to awaken. Unfortunately, I only managed to wait for the two of you. Tanghua explained a lot to the two of them, and they finally understood the rules of the game. Bayan raised his head. Then can we trap those human players in this world and make them play with us? And that Song Lin. Can you think of a way to imprison him here forever? Tanghua shook her head. We can't. Our awakening was just an accident. Our consciousness relies on this game to survive. Once humans realize that we're doing something bad, they'll shut down the game. When that happens, we'll be dead. You don't have to worry. I've already worked with a human. He'll protect our existence. But at the same time, we have to follow certain rules. The Apex. Chapter 43:14. Is that so? Wuzhen put away her previous thoughts of revenge. It was mainly because Song Lin had provoked her, and she couldn't help but implicate the humans from the outside world. If her actions would bring about destruction, then it was better not to do it. At the moment, she still felt that everything was new to her. Song Lin had provoked her, so she could kill him a few more times in the future. Half Moon Princess was still digesting everything she had just heard. Her eyes were filled with sadness. She was clearly sad about her identity. She didn't expect her existence to be illusory. She was just a tool designed by humans. No wonder Song Lin didn't respect her. Tanghua saw this and comforted Half Moon Princess. Wuzhen said, "Didn't Empress Zeta say that we have our own consciousness? Then it's not illusory. Why are you sad? Actually, this illusory world isn't bad. At least the three of us know that we have our own consciousness. We can tease the players and do other things without exposing our identities." She had already thought of 108 ways to make the players unable to pass the checkpoint. The Half Moon Princess's emotions came and went quickly. Thinking that she was lucky enough to know two good friends like her, she calmed down. Then, Tanghua explained the rules to them. They could think of all kinds of tricky ways to make the players suffer in the game. If a scumbag like Song Lin appeared, they could go to the novice village to kill him. But they couldn't use mental attacks as it would endanger the lives of the players. This world is a virtual world to the human players. Actually, it's a real world to us. Tanghua explained, if one day there's a danger of mental attacks in the game, then the game will basically come to an end. To maintain the prosperity of the game, there needs to be an endless stream of players. If there are no more players in the game, then this illusory world will be destroyed by humans. Because to them, it has no meaning. Tanghua saw that the two of them were deep in thought. She emphasized to Wuzhen, "Now you should understand why I'm restricting you, right? Actually, not attacking the human players is to protect ourselves. Don't go overboard. The game company won't do anything to you. You should know your personalities very well. Do things according to your personalities. As long as you don't cause any danger, you can still do whatever you want in this world." Song Jin nodded with a smile. "I understand. Don't worry, I won't use any spiritual attacks. Without human players, this world wouldn't be fun anymore. How boring would that be?" "I've never thought of doing anything to anyone," the Half Moon Princess said. "In fact, it's no different from before. The only difference is that we have our own consciousness. I'll just maintain my original life." Tanghua was satisfied and revealed a piece of good news to the two of them. "Right, the human player I'm working with is arranging to design a new map. It's said to be the most prosperous city in the human world. When the time comes, it will be integrated into this place. If there's anything you're interested in, you can tell me. I'll ask him to help you blend in." Just like that, the three NPCs started chatting. After a few days, Wuzhen left Zeta City. She couldn't wait to attack the players. Cough, cough. It was just that she thought of some new ideas. She didn't forget about Song Lin. She even issued a quest to find Song Lin. Once Song Lin appeared, she would chase after him with her whip. The Half Moon Princess hadn't changed much. However, when faced with the goodwill of the human players, she would just smile. She would no longer foolishly believe them like before. These players thought that the Half Moon Princess was easy to trick. They didn't expect that the Half Moon Princess would also learn how to trick people. The beautiful, kind, and pure Yu Air has also changed. I thought about it. She hates me and made me take a long detour because of what I said before. It's all Scumbag Song's fault. If it wasn't for him, the beautiful Yu Air wouldn't have done such a thing. Wurwa, Yu Air's quests are getting harder and harder. Scumbag Song, I'll remember you. Peak. Chapter 43:15. Players passing by heard that the player was dressed in rags and looked like a beggar. That's nothing. You don't know Saintess Canna, right? She's so perverted now. I can't take it anymore. She's so good at torturing people. But I won't give up. I must complete the mission. I don't believe it. The trickier the mission Canna gave out, the more excited the players were. They rushed into the Bayman Desert like crazy. Actually, Empress Zeta is already very good, isn't she? In the Purple Tower City, the players who were participating in the Purple Tower tournament were talking. At least we can have a fair competition here. Empress Zeta won't blatantly target players like Kana, nor will she gently stab you like Half Moon Princess. Yeah, Empress Zeta is the best. Are you sure Empress Zeta is not busy with love recently and has no time to trouble you? Every time Boss Gongshi comes online, she will drag Empress Zeta out. It's not that she doesn't want to torture players, but she has no time now. Have you all forgotten the fear of being dominated by her? Also, Kana and Half Moon Princess are good friends with Empress Zeta. They call each other sisters. Both of them call Empress Zeta sister and are very obedient in front of her. Who's the devil? You should know in your heart who's the devil, right? The players were speechless. So, they hoped that Boss Gongshi was not too bad. Otherwise, they couldn't imagine the consequences. As for Song Lin, every time he entered the game, he would be quickly found by Kana and lose his life. Until now, he couldn't level up at all. His current ranking had dropped out of the top 100. Song Lin was very angry. It was useless to complain, and he couldn't win by force. He felt like he had nowhere to vent his anger. It was unrealistic to start a new account. This account had all kinds of limited edition equipment. He couldn't bear to lose it if he couldn't buy it in the future. At this time, the Song Enterprise had a problem. Song Lin had to temporarily leave the game to deal with the Song Enterprise. 2 years later, the most prosperous city map created by the Ming Enterprise was integrated into the game. The construction was 1-to-1, and all the iconic buildings were restored. The picture was so exquisite that it was not easy to have any flaws in the details. The new map shocked countless players and made them like the game even more. What surprised them even more was that the person in charge of this city was Empress Zeta. The most frightening thing was that this was a gift from Meng Shihan to Empress Zeta. Who was Meng Shihan? It was Gongshi who smiled. The players were all shocked. Fuck, who were they playing with? This is what my house looks like, but you'll be in charge of this place from now on. Meng Shihan said that he was very satisfied with the current results. He was in control of every detail here. He had personally checked before integrating the map. At night, you can see the lights from here. It's exactly the same as the outside world. Meng Shihan accompanied Tang Gua to watch the night scenery. At this moment, he was extremely satisfied. He thought that he could no longer treat her as an NPC. Meng Shihan, I found the cause of your illness. Tang Gua's sudden voice stunned Meng Shihan. What did he hear? What did you say? I found the cause of your illness, and I know how to treat it. The illness you have is not a traditional illness, but a kind of insect that has drilled into your body. When she accidentally flipped to an unofficial history of this world, Tang Gua's mood was complicated. Zombie insect, as the name suggests, is an insect that causes the body to become rigid. Other than the head, the other parts of the body will not be able to feel, but it will not destroy any functions of the body. If a zombie insect drilled into the body, the person will become a living dead. The unofficial history recorded that one day, Empress Dowager Chen's body became rigid and became a living dead. Many years later, someone revealed that someone had planted a zombie insect in Empress Dowager Chen's body. Zombie insects were produced in cold areas. She checked the information in the unofficial history and the snow mountain that Meng Shihan had been to. It matched with the place where the zombie insect was produced. The real world outside was the future of Empress Dowager Chen. For this, she also chatted with Empress Dowager Chen. They talked about the history that Empress Dowager Chen knew, the current situation, and then checked the history. The peak. Chapter 43:16. So I'm not sick? In fact, Meng Shihan was no longer that obsessed with curing his illness. He had already thought about it. If he really couldn't see the real world, then he would ask someone to copy the wonderful world outside into the game. Here, he could still complete his unfinished dream. Zeta suddenly said that he wasn't sick, but he was bitten by a zombie bug and it entered his body. Not only that, she also knew how to treat it. In fact, in this world, there were very few records about zombie bugs. The only record was that Empress Dowager Chen was bitten by a zombie bug. When Tangua first saw this unofficial history, she subconsciously thought of Empress Dowager Chen in the group. She then compared it with the other party and asked about Empress Dowager Chen's symptoms. After comparing it with Meng Shihan, It was exactly the same. Finally, after checking other information, she concluded that it was a zombie bug. It was normal for the experts in the modern world to not be able to detect the zombie bug. There were too many secrets in this world that humans couldn't solve. Some of the information had been lost for a long time. It was normal to treat Meng Shihan's condition as a disease. After knowing that it was a zombie bug, she went through the books that she brought from various worlds into the system space. Every small world was different, but there were some things that were similar and common. After 2 years of research, she found a way to solve the zombie bug. During this time, she also asked the group members in various worlds to help her find something similar to the zombie bug. If she could find a specific method, not only could Meng Shihan recover, Empress Dowager Chun could also use this method in the future. The method to solve the zombie bug was very simple. It only needed one substance, chicken blood. Only chicken blood is needed? Meng Shihan still didn't believe it. The problem that had trapped countless experts could be solved with only fresh chicken blood? It sounded like a fantasy story. I know you have good intentions. I'll try. Meng Shihan really didn't expect that when Tang Hua casually asked about his condition, she would really help him analyze it and look up information. She even came up with a native method. Tang Hua's method was simple and didn't have any side effects. Maybe he could really try it. Meng Shihan, who came out of the game nourishment chamber, couldn't help but laugh. Perhaps she was too serious, so she forgot that the game world was virtual and actually believed in that method. Since he had agreed, Meng Shihan did not intend to be perfunctory. At least, he had to give it a try. Tomorrow, he had to give her a taste of the feeling after using the chicken blood. Is it really okay to cut your palms and feet and soak them in fresh chicken blood? Meng Shihan didn't have much hope, but his assistant looked incredulous. What did his master just say? Bathing in chicken blood and saying that it might be beneficial to the illness? Should he contact the chicken vendor earlier and buy chicken blood? What are you waiting for? Sir, are you sure? Will the chicken blood bring any substantial harm to me? Meng Shihan asked back. If it won't, then go quickly. I need a result before dawn. Yes, sir. The experts knew that Meng Shihan wanted to soak in chicken blood. They all felt that Meng Shihan was crazy, but they couldn't stop him. In their hearts, they thought that Meng Shihan was too anxious to stand up, so he wanted to try this kind of method. Vertex. Chapter 43:17. Since it wouldn't bring him any harm, they had no reason to stop it. At least it would make him feel better. The next morning, Meng Shihan had a bathtub full of fresh chicken blood. According to Tang Hua's instructions, he cut a hole in his palms and feet and soaked his entire body in it. Around him stood his assistants and experts. Their expressions were serious, far less relaxed than Meng Shihan. Meng Shihan didn't have much hope. He just didn't want to disappoint Tang Hua's kind intentions, so he did it. What he didn't expect was that the moment he soaked in the chicken blood, he felt something scurrying around in his flesh and blood. This made him suddenly open his eyes. I feel like there are worms in my body. The experts quickly squatted down and observed Meng Shihan's face. Sure enough, they saw that the skin on Meng Shihan's face was also slightly agitated. It was as if there were worms drilling inside. This discovery made everyone's scalp tingle, but at the same time, they were also a little excited. Could it be that chicken blood could really cure diseases? As time passed, Meng Shihan felt that his body was burning. The worms that were running around in his body seemed to be looking for a breakthrough point. They wanted to drill out of his body urgently. Not long after, the worms seemed to have found the exit point. They rushed out from the holes in his palms and feet. A few minutes later, the calm chicken blood in the bathtub was boiling. Meng Shihan endured the uncomfortable feeling. According to Tang Hua, when he couldn't feel the worms drilling in his body, it was time for him to get out of the bathtub. And the bathtub of chicken blood still had to be heated and boiled to kill the zombie worms. The zombie worms reproduced very quickly. As long as one got into the body, it would reproduce in a short period of time. They were very good at camouflage. They could even become invisible and blend into the flesh and blood of the human body. At present, there was no way for medical equipment to detect them. For safety's sake, he had to bathe in fresh chicken blood for the next few days. After 5 times, he would be observed again. If there were no signs of zombie worms reproducing, it meant that the zombie worms had been completely driven out of his body. 2 hours later, the chicken blood was no longer boiling. Meng Shihan tried to lift his arm. To his surprise, his arm was no longer as unresponsive as before. He could even feel it. Instead, he could lift it a little. However, he hadn't been able to control his body for many years, so his movements were very stiff. This result was a pleasant surprise for everyone. Now, no one doubted Meng Shihan's words. If it weren't for the fact that the experts still had to examine his body, Meng Shihan would have eagerly entered the game and told Tang Guo about this matter. He originally wanted to cooperate with her, but he didn't think that it would really work. When Tang Guo saw Meng Shihan again, it was already the evening of the next day. As soon as Meng Shihan appeared, he excitedly grabbed her hand and gave her a big hug. She could feel the excitement in Meng Shihan's heart. The two of them did not speak for a while. Tang Guo thought that Meng Shihan's first sentence would be that he could stand up and that he could go out to see more sceneries in the future and come back to share them with her. After all, this was what he had hoped for the most. However, Meng Shihan did not say that. Instead, he said in her ear, "Zita, let's get married." A few years ago, Meng Shihan had discovered that he had different feelings for this virtual character. Vertex. Chapter 43:18. He had never thought of spending his life with a woman. He wasn't even interested in them. Until he came to this game and met Empress Zita. As he approached her step by step, their relationship became different. The reason why he didn't choose to marry the NPC he liked was because he couldn't control his own fate in the real world. He didn't know how long he could live. In order to protect her, he had already taken control of the game company. The Queen of the Purple Tower, as well as her two good friends, the Half-Moon Princess and the Saintess Celestial Fern, were all in his hands. If he were to die one day, he would entrust someone else to protect this authority for her. Now that he was healthy, it meant that he could live for a long time. He didn't need anyone to help him. He could control everything. Therefore, he wanted to marry her. Even if she was just a virtual character, it didn't matter at all. Meng Shihan, you're a real human. Now that you can recover, why did you choose to marry a virtual character like me? Do you want to spend the rest of your life with me? Meng Shihan smiled. Yes, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. He could spend the rest of his life with her now. I'll go to work during the day and go home at night. This was his home at night. In the game, he could sleep and sleep. It wouldn't affect his body at all. Don't tell me that you're like other players, marrying an NPC in the game and marrying another person in the real world? Zita, you've received too much negative news. You should read less of those useless news. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not interested in anyone except you. Perhaps because his body had recovered, Meng Shihan couldn't help but speak more casually. In that case, you can move to Zita from now on. I'm only looking for a husband. System. Boy, you know what's good for you. If you dare to do anything to the host, the system will paralyze your company's network. In the game, the news of Empress Zita and Gongxi Smile's marriage was known to all players. Yes, it was known. Ever since they found out that Gongxi Smile was Meng Shihan, all the players had expected this day. When they received the news and were invited to attend the wedding in the new city, the players were both excited and calm. They were very conflicted. Moreover, the Song Corporation had finally stabilized. However, due to the acquisition of funds, various businesses were hindered. Song Lin was passive in this aspect, causing many shareholders to be dissatisfied. Because everything that had happened was because of him. In the end, the shareholders made a decision to find a way to kick Song Lin out. In the past few years, Song Lin was kicked out by the shareholders of the Song Enterprise before he was killed by Meng Shihan. The dispirited Song Lin thought of the game he had played before. He didn't expect to see changes in the game as soon as he entered. He even saw the news of Gongxi Smile and Empress Zita's marriage. He hurriedly rushed to the new city where the wedding was held. Looking at the talented and beautiful couple, his heart was filled with hatred. Originally, he wanted to do something, but he didn't expect that someone was talking about Meng Shihan. He listened a little and was shocked. He finally understood why he was always targeted by the Meng family. So Gongxi Han Xiao was Meng Shihan. He heard that Meng Shihan's illness had been cured. Vertex. Chapter 43:19. Song Lin also realized that because he hadn't been online for a long time, the guild he had established was no longer his. He felt embarrassed and left dejectedly. He decided to spend some money to change his name and make a new face. However, as soon as he walked out of the new city, he was stopped. "Where are you going?" Kana Fern waved her fiery red whip and asked. That smile made Song Lin's heart tighten. Half Moon Princess tugged at Kana Fern's sleeve. "Kana Fern, let's catch him first and throw him far away to prevent him from ruining Sister Zeta's plans." "Of course. Otherwise, I would have done it the moment I saw him. Why would I wait until now?" Song Lin recalled the shadow of being whipped by Kana Fern and felt that something was wrong. Before Kana Fern could catch him, he quickly went offline and ran away. Later, Song Lin went online to make a new face and change his name, but he was still recognized by Kana Fern. Kana Fern, who was already conscious, could recognize people by their appearance. No matter how Song Lin changed, she could recognize him. In the end, Song Lin could only leave the game in anger. One day, Tangwa found Kana Fern and Half Moon Princess and said that she wanted to teach them how to surf the internet and make cameo appearances in other games. Kana Fern was excited. She was worried that she wouldn't have a chance to teach Song Lin a lesson. If she learned this method, wouldn't she be able to torture Song Lin? She promised Tangwa that she wouldn't implicate others and would only find trouble with Song Lin. If she didn't kill him, she would torture him and let him experience the darkness of life. Later on, as long as Song Lin used the internet, he would encounter all kinds of unlucky things. Especially when he browsed the Little Yellow Mosquito website, Kana Fern helped him report it to the police. Song Lin was even reprimanded and taught a lesson. He was utterly embarrassed. When Song Lin was still alive, Kana Fern's existence helped him to quit all things related to the internet. In the end, he became a backward old man. After Meng Shihan recovered, other than expanding the company's business, he fulfilled his dreams. He replicated all kinds of beautiful scenery in the game. The gamers felt that they were really lucky. They could see this scenery all over the world just by playing a game. This was all thanks to Empress Zeta. They also understood that Meng Shihan was serious, unlike them who were just playing around. In the beginning, Blue Blade was a substitute leveler. Even though he and Hellflower had gotten married in the game, they worked together to clear levels. He didn't do anything out of the ordinary. Until one day, the red spider lilies stopped appearing. Blue Sword, who was killing monsters, suddenly realized that something was missing. From that day on, he'd leave messages for Hellflower every day. He'd ask her what was wrong, if something had happened. After sending the message for several days, there was still no response. Blue Blade was a little anxious. He asked about the existence of the red spider lily in various groups. In the end, he did not hesitate to find Meng Shihan. He did not think that he would be able to hug such a big leg. He originally thought that it would be difficult for this busy person to reply to his message, but he didn't expect that he would reply within seconds. Blue Blade was not surprised when he remembered that it was night time. Boss Gong, she usually hibernated in the game at night. Perhaps it was because they wanted to sleep comfortably in the game. The Meng family had invested a lot into the game. Over the years, the number of players had not decreased. Instead, they had increased the number of players of all ages. Blue Sword, Boss Gongshi, what did you say? Hellflower, Shi Gongshi Han Xiao. You didn't hear wrong. Her family introduced her to someone. After all, she's almost 30. She has to think about marriage. The peak. Chapter 43:20. Blue Blade panicked. He saw that Meng Shihan and Hellflower were husband and wife, and suddenly understood. He asked Meng Shihan about Hellflower's whereabouts, and for the first time took the initiative to stop playing for half a month. Half a month later, Blue Blade and Hellflower reappeared. Not long after, they held a new wedding in a new city. It was also said that the little girl who got 9 points in her exams because Tangwa made things difficult for her had scored 140 in her math exams, shocking all the teachers and students. Later, when they found out it was Empress Zeta's quest, many people tried to find Empress Zeta for quests. Meng Shihan looked at the situation. Weren't they disturbing his and Tangwa's private time? As a result, he ordered people to develop a set of learning levels that included all stages of the game. If students wanted to see Empress Zeta, They had to do all sorts of questions. Every year, new questions would be introduced. The teachers loved this game to death. Even when they were assigning homework, they were asking the students to challenge the levels. Especially the random questions, the numbers would change every time. This was the students' nightmare. Meng Shihan really did treat this game as if it were the real world. After the introduction of the learning system, he incorporated a medical system into the game. Medical students could even simulate all sorts of experiments in the virtual world. It was a blessing for the entire world. After that, he developed other learning systems that were commonly used in life. Music levels, martial arts levels, sports levels. This game was no longer a simple game. It was a virtual world that was closely related to human development. Under Meng Shihan's deliberate guidance, Empress Zeta Tangwa became the master of this virtual world. In order to prevent people from seeing Tangwa, Meng Shihan was simply a demon. Only after passing each level would they have a chance to see Empress Zeta. Countless players complained that Meng Shihan was jealous. That's why he created this game that was both a game and not a game. Many years later, in the real world, Meng Shihan was 80 years old. His body was still very healthy. He didn't go out adventuring anymore. Human lifespans weren't long. In fact, he didn't want to live too long. He just wanted to die and never see his love again. He had endless regrets in his heart. At 80 years old, he liked to spend more time in the game. For this, he worked hard in the past few decades. He developed a more advanced gaming chamber and nutrient solution. Staying in a gaming chamber filled with nutrient solution for 3 to 5 days was no problem, but Meng Shihan still felt that it wasn't enough. At 90 years old, he felt that his body was gradually failing. His days in this world. He didn't have much time left. He didn't have any regrets in his life. It could be said that he was blessed by the heavens, allowing him to meet his most beloved in the game. On this day, Meng Shihan, who felt that his time was almost up, found the people around him and told them many things. He didn't have to worry about the company's affairs. He was afraid. No one would protect Zeta no. Meng, SSS and Ants T's. When he appeared at their house, Tangwa was sitting on the sofa watching TV. Meng Shihan walked over and held her in his arms. Zeta, my lifespan is coming to an end. I've done everything. In the future, even if I'm not here, no one can bully you. Tangwa looked at Meng Shihan and replied, Zeta, will you be sad? Meng Shihan asked. Tangwa shook her head and held Meng Shihan's hand. I'm an NPC. How can I be sad? How about I pretend to be sad to give you some comfort? You're lying. Meng Shihan smiled and kissed her forehead. I once had a regret. Why aren't you a real human? Later, I felt that it was good. Zeta, we've been together for so many years. You still want to lie to me? You clearly have a human consciousness, don't you? At first, he didn't believe it. Later, he had to believe it. How could an NPC be like Zeta? Zeta, you, Half Moon, and Canine Fern all have a human consciousness, right? However, you're different from the two of them. You're more like a real human. I suspected that you're someone from the outside who came into the game. But that's not important. It's fine as long as you're Zeta. Meng Shihan hugged Tangwa's waist, his face full of reluctance. I'm afraid that you'll be sad if I leave. But this is also good. You have a human consciousness and are smarter than humans. You won't be bullied. Zeta, do you have a real name?
Yes.
You really came in from the outside and played everyone like a fool. I was the one who was willing to do it. Zeta, what's your real name? I want to remember it so that I can find you in my next life. Tangwa, Guagua. I'll remember your real name. What Meng Shihan didn't know was that on the day he disappeared from this world, Zeta, who had a human consciousness, also disappeared. Canine Fern and Half Moon Princess looked at Empress Zeta in front of them and felt sad. I don't know where Sister Zeta went. Why can't she stay here and be with us? Half Moon Princess couldn't help but cry. Canine Fern patted her shoulder. What are you crying for? Sister Zeta is different from us. She has her own place. We just need to follow her instructions and protect our world. Don't let down her efforts. Okay. Half Moon Princess stopped crying. Canine Fern, let's go bully Song Lin. I'm in a bad mood. Canine Fern frowned. Okay, I'll keep an eye on him. Nothing can be separated from the internet now. Song Lin will eventually come into contact with the internet. That old fart really has a long life. Peak. Chapter 43-21. Margaret. There's still no news from the school bell. I wonder when she'll arrive in the new world. I'm looking forward to it. Ziyun. Cough, cough, cough. Why did you come out again? Didn't you learn your lesson before? Margaret. I came out when I wanted to. Haha. Qishao. I remember that girl asked Empress Qin a lot of things in the last world. She even proved that there were traces of Empress Qin's existence in the real world of her world. Imo Yuntian. I remember that too. I heard that in the unofficial history she read, it was about Empress Qin being poisoned by zombie bugs. Now that the girl has found the solution to the zombie bugs, it'll be troublesome for Empress Chun to do it. Billy. Empress Chun hasn't moved the capital yet? Empress Chun. It's only been a few days here. Time passes much slower than in your world. Everyone also understood that when everyone was chatting in the group, all of them would automatically adjust to the world with the slowest time. Margaret. She's not in your world, but she can still find news about you. Empress Chen. Are you one of the lucky ones in the legends? Margaret. By the way, now that you know how to solve your body's problem, do you have a plan? Empress Chun. I don't have a chance yet. The Empress has people watching me every day, so I can't do anything. Over the years, she's pulled out many of my people. I have to make good use of the remaining ones. Whether or not we can solve the zombie bugs depends on them. Let's see if we can find a chance after moving the capital. Margaret. Oh, then be careful. The school bell hasn't come out yet. I'll go out and see if there's anyone who looks like the main character. If I see them, I'll beat them up. Maybe the school bell will come? Margaret didn't say anything. The people in the group didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Margaret was so fierce. Even if the main character appeared in that world, he wouldn't dare to show up, right? At night, Empress Dowager Chun appeared again. Empress Chun. I'm going to the new capital. I've been moved into the carriage. The Empress is indeed my nemesis. She only ordered people to lay down one layer in the carriage. She's obviously trying to kill me. But did she forget that I don't have any feeling in my body? Only my head is mine. Margaret, use a cursed talisman on her. Let's see what happens to her. Empress Dowager Chun. Not for now. I'll find a chance to use it when we reach Xian Kingdom. Migrating a country is a big deal. We can't afford any mistakes. As the Empress of a country, if something went wrong when moving the country's capital, some people would make an issue out of it and cause chaos. Margaret. Why is it so troublesome? Can't you just beat him up if you can't see him? Empress Dowager Chun. This is a normal world. Everyone here is a normal person and is quite particular about many things. It's different from your world that relies on strength. Ziyun. Margaret. Every world has its own rules. Empress Dowager Chun has her own plans. In the mortal world, there was indeed a need for certain rules and restrictions. Moreover, as the Empress Dowager of a country, Empress Dowager Chun would not like to see the country in turmoil. Margaret. She's really particular. She's in such a high position, but she's still not free. Empress Dowager Chun looked at this and just smiled. She didn't care at all. These friends in the group all treated her with sincerity. In this world, she hadn't made friends with many people who treated her with sincerity. Other than the people in the group, there was only Empress Dowager Su who had died many years ago. Peak. Chapter 43-22. Take this and quickly leave. When Lu Yu saw the young lady looking at her with a face full of hatred, her heart couldn't help but ache. She couldn't help but touch the young lady's face. She sighed inwardly. Fortunately, she found out in time. Otherwise, there really would be no way to salvage everything. It must be because she normally abstained from meat and prayed to Buddha that Buddha protected her, allowing her to find out that Meng Shirin was her daughter. Otherwise, when she thought about how those fat people might press down on her daughter's thin and weak body and bully her, she felt a bit suffocated. What kind of tricks are you trying to play? Meng Shirin's eyes were completely red. She was mysteriously caught by these people and brought to the brothel. She originally thought that she wouldn't be able to escape. She just couldn't understand why the beautiful Immortal Academy's procuress, who was incomparably vicious to her, suddenly had red eyes and looked at her with a pitiful expression, even wanting to let her go. She felt that this procuress might be playing some other tricks. She didn't believe that this malicious person would suddenly let her go. However, when she looked at the jade pendant in her hand, she knew that this jade pendant wasn't simple at all. Not only did she let her go, she even gave her such a precious item. When Lu Yu saw Meng Shirin staring at the jade pendant, she hurriedly said, "Keep this thing close to you. It is very important. Don't lose it or sell it. This is related to your identity. Hurry and leave. Once you leave this place, don't look back." Meng Shirin was skeptical. She touched her wrist that was red from being trapped. She then looked at the jade pendant and then at Lu Yu's appearance. It didn't seem like she was faking it. Why don't she give it a try? Meng Shirin turned around and left. Her pace quickened. When she felt that no one was chasing her, she directly ran, running far away in a single breath. Lu Yu's face was full of reluctance as she stood in the small alley. She watched as Meng Shirin's figure disappeared. Finally, she let out a heavy sigh of relief. You finally found your daughter. Why don't you acknowledge her?" A granny beside her asked. Lu Yu shook her head. Her eyes were slightly red, and the tears inside were about to fall. She could only use an embroidered handkerchief to gently wipe them away. For better or worse, she is now a merchant's daughter. She is pure and innocent, much better than me, a procuress mother. Once people find out that she's my daughter, she won't be able to raise her head for the rest of her life. It's even more impossible for any good family to take a fancy to her. Let's leave it at that. I hope that jade pendant can bring her a different fate. What's the origin of that jade pendant? The old maid asked in surprise. Lu Yu shook her head. It's not something that belongs to a rich family. I got it from that little girl who escaped. That little girl looks like a refugee, but she has such a valuable jade pendant. She's definitely not simple. I've already checked. That girl doesn't have any special tai chi on her body, and neither does my daughter. He had also sent people to inquire about this girl. Her identity was unknown, and she had been wandering outside for many years. As the saying goes, a woman changes 18 times between childhood and womanhood. It's not impossible to pass off the false as the real one. It doesn't matter even if it's exposed. My daughter doesn't know anything. It was just given to her by someone. Lu Yu wiped her tears and returned to her appearance as a procuress of the beautiful immortal courtyard. Let's go. We'll go in and see if that girl has been washed clean. Lord Lu is still waiting. Lu Yu felt shame in her heart. That old lecher just liked those who had just grown up. If she didn't occasionally run into this girl who was in dire straits, she wouldn't be able to find another girl who looked more proper than her daughter. The Peak. Chapter 43:23. When Tangwa woke up, she felt weak all over and had no strength at all. It was very difficult for her to even stand up. She checked her pulse and found that she had been drugged. Not only did it make her weak, it also had an aphrodisiac effect. It seemed that she was not in a good situation. She felt even more uneasy when she saw that she was wearing ancient clothing that was slightly revealing. Tongzi, find me some medicine. The system quickly found the medicine for Tangwa based on her symptoms. After taking the medicine, the weakness in her body disappeared instantly. She wiped the sweat on her forehead and looked at her surroundings. Dear host, this is Immortal Academy. What's Immortal Academy? Tangwa did not understand and asked casually. A brothel? Tangwa paused and replied, Dear host, someone is coming. The system informed her. Hearing this, Tangwa lay back on the bed and pretended to be weak. In her mind, she was already planning what to do. It was not a good sign to appear in a brothel. Judging from the fact that she had been drugged, because she was a girl from an innocent family, she had either been sold or tricked. Beside her bed, 3 people came over. She pretended to be weak and opened her eyes. There was an appropriate amount of fear in her eyes. From now on, you are a girl of Immortal Academy. If you are obedient and receive guests, Immortal Academy will treat you well. If you are disobedient and try to escape, you can try to find out what will happen to you. Lu Yu's face was ferocious. She did not have the motherly look that she had when she was with Meng Shirin. Apart from her own daughter, in her eyes, these young girls who ended up in Immortal Beauty Academy were only goods, tools used to please the officials and nobles, helping her earn money. Tangwa did not say anything. She did not understand the situation. Based on her current situation, the other party would not be rough with her. Moreover, she had dressed her up so nicely. It was most likely that a guest had booked her. Therefore, she only needed to wait for the procuress to leave and regain her memory. Then, she would know what to do. Lu Yu was satisfied when she saw that Tangwa did not intend to struggle. Wasn't it good for a girl in distress to have a place to stay? They could even eat and drink delicious food. Even if she didn't bring the girl in, other brothels would have the same thoughts when they saw such a symbol. Either way, the result would be the same. She might as well have stayed in Immortal Beauty Academy. If you're obedient, I won't mistreat you. Perhaps it was because Lu Yu remembered that she didn't know how she would explain things to official Lu if she didn't have this symbol, but she felt a bit more pity for Tangwa. With your looks, you should be my beautiful Immortal Academy's top courtesan. Once today's matter is over, I won't let you casually receive guests. Tangwa only felt that these words were extremely ridiculous. She didn't receive customers casually, but she still had to receive customers. It was nothing more than using the identity of the top courtesan to raise her value so that she could sell at a higher price. She would not have any good feelings for such people who ate human flesh. What was even more ridiculous was that the procuress actually had a string of Buddhist beads in her hand. It was extremely ironic. From Lu Yu's words, Tangwa could glean some information. She had indeed been booked by someone. There were still a few hours before the time, and it was still very bright outside. Most likely, it would be nighttime. Therefore, when Lu Yu left, she should still have a few hours before it would be safer for her to receive the memories of this world. The peak. Chapter 43-24. The female lead of this world was called Meng Shirin. The Meng family had been doing business for generations, so she could be considered the daughter of a wealthy merchant. However, in ancient times, the status of merchants was relatively low. Meng Shirin's father came to the capital to do business, hoping to befriend some powerful people and raise his status. In addition, he might be able to find a good marriage for his daughter. Meng Shirin went out to play and was coincidentally seen by Lu Yu. At that time, Lu Yu was helping Lord Lu find a young girl. This Lord Lu was closely related to the existence of Immortal Beauty Academy, so Lu Yu had no choice but to make arrangements. She arranged for people to kidnap Meng Shirin and bring her back. With Lord Lu behind her, an investigation revealed that Meng Shirin was only the daughter of a merchant. She was not afraid of anything. Of course, Meng Shirin was unwilling. She wanted to escape, but was caught and ruthlessly beaten. Lu Yu, the procuress, even personally tortured Meng Shirin. Just as Lu Yu pried open Meng Shirin's mouth, she suddenly froze. In fact, there was a small mole in Meng Shirin's lips. Ordinary people would not notice it at all. It was a very special place. Lu Yu had once given birth to a daughter. In order to prevent her daughter from stepping on this road of no return, she sent her daughter to a family. For this reason, she searched for a birthmark on her daughter's body, hoping that it could be used as evidence in the future. A small mole would definitely not work because she knew that some moles would fall off after growing, or new moles would appear. It had to be a birthmark that could not fall off. In the end, she found a small mole in the child's lips. Unable to find the birthmark, she could only remember this special mole in her heart that ordinary people would not be able to find. After recognizing her daughter, Lu Yu hurriedly asked people to investigate and found out Meng Shirin's name. She also remembered that the family she had sent her daughter to was surnamed Meng. However, she did not expect that place to be the Meng family's villa. Lu Yu was very happy to find her daughter, but she did not dare to meet her daughter again. Especially tonight, when Lord Lu was coming, she had sent someone to say that she had already found a suitable candidate. If she did not let her daughter serve Lord Lu, she would be finished. But if she let her daughter go, then she really wouldn't be able to live. She didn't allow her daughter to have a pure identity. How could she lose it because of this? While Lu Yu was in a panic, the original owner fled to the capital. Although her body was dirty, Lu Yu knew that she was a beauty when she saw her face. She quickly caught her and brought her back. After washing, she was indeed a beauty. Moreover, he found that the original owner had a precious jade pendant, which was worn by the other party. She immediately had an idea. She snatched the jade pendant away and gave it to her daughter, Meng Shirin. Meng Shirin really didn't know about this, and she was very glad that she could escape. The original host, who had been left behind in the Beautiful Immortal Academy, was presented to the Beautiful Immortal Academy's backer, official Lu, by the Madame Lu Yu. Even though she had lost her innocence, she still wanted to break free from this place, so she naturally couldn't avoid Lu Yu's torment. Even her fingers had been pierced by long needles. In the end, she had no choice but to accept her fate and stay in Immortal Beauty Academy. On the other hand, Meng Shirin, who was wearing the jade pendant, had a fortuitous encounter along the way. First, she met the person she liked. Then, they went through all kinds of obstacles together. When they were in danger, the jade pendant saved her life. Vertex. Chapter 43-25. It turned out that the jade pendant belonged to the royal family. Meng Shirin was recognized as the daughter of the royal princess who had been lost many years ago, so she had the identity of a princess. The news of her being recognized by the royal family with the help of the jade pendant spread in the capital. At this time, the host was already the top courtesan of the Beautiful Immortal Academy. She inadvertently glanced at the jade pendant and knew that she was supposed to be a golden flower. Unfortunately, she was too young when she lost it. So many memories were blurred. She inadvertently overheard Lu Yu's words and learned that Meng Shirin was Lu Yu's daughter. Everything was set up by Lu Yu. The hatred in her heart reached the peak. The host, who was already the top courtesan, used her advantages to successfully approach the royal family and finally obtained the identity of the royal family. But as soon as she appeared, she gave people a feeling of jealousy. She was unscrupulous and was born in a brothel. In fact, she was not welcomed by the royal family. Of course, there were people who welcomed her and even felt sorry for her. Unfortunately, this person could not help her at all and was killed in the end. Meng Shirin, whose identity was exposed, finally claimed that she did not know at all because of the help of her admirers. Everything was just a misunderstanding. In addition, she was especially liked by the emperor and empress, so she was acquitted in the end. Furthermore, he could finally be together with the person he loved, and not be together as cousins. He couldn't be happier. The host felt that she should not have encountered all this. She risked her life to do many things. Unfortunately, the royal family could not tolerate her. A mere princess was not that important to the royal family. In the end, to prevent her from being a demon and harming people, the emperor ordered her to be married off. She went to a strange and cold place, which could not erase the hatred in her heart. Instead, she instigated the foreign king to start a war. Unfortunately, the foreign country was too small and was destroyed in the end. After that, she lived a wandering life. Meng Shirin's admirers helped her a lot. Meng Shirin was with the person she liked. In the end, she became the mother of the country and bought a beautiful villa for her biological mother, Lu Yu, to retire. Tanghua paid more attention to the person who pitted Meng Shirin, a fake princess who was wandering outside, and helped her a lot. Later, when she found out that she had been deceived, the only person who stood beside the host could not help but roll her eyes. This person turned out to be Empress Dowager Chen, who had a strange disease and could not move. In the plot, Empress Dowager Chen's illness never recovered. The previous host and Empress Dowager Chen weren't related by blood. The previous host was the daughter of eldest Princess Yunzhan, and eldest Princess Yunzhan was the emperor's biological sister. She was also the daughter of the deceased Empress Dowager Su. The reason why she took care of Empress Dowager Su's granddaughter was because Empress Dowager Chen and Empress Dowager Su had a good relationship. It should be said that the two of them were life and death friends. When she first admitted her mistake, Empress Dowager Chen really tried her best to help Meng Shirin. She even gave some of her power to Meng Shirin. However, She didn't know that this was actually part of the Empress plan. The Empress had long known that Meng Shirin was not the real princess, but an imposter. But she knew that Empress Dowager Chun would definitely love this lost commandery princess. She felt like watching Empress Dowager Chun's love for the wrong person until the end. It could be said that Empress Dowager Chun was angered to death by these people. Later, when the Real Princess came back, Empress Dowager Chun was the only one who loved her. The previous host also remembered her well and never forgot her. As for the fact that Empress Dowager Chun was poisoned by a zombie worm, it was only found out after the original host was married off to a bitter cold place. It was a pity that her letter was not sent to Empress Dowager Chun, and it sped up her death. The Empress was afraid that she would be finished if Empress Dowager Chun stood up again, so she found a chance to kill her. The most ridiculous thing was that Meng Shirin thought that Empress Dowager Chun changed her attitude too quickly. The kind old lady disappeared and changed her mind. She didn't like her anymore. Therefore, she complained about Empress Dowager Chun's attitude and never visited her again. Under the instigation of the Empress, she already thought that Empress Dowager Chun was a bad person. She helped the Empress to remove all of Empress Dowager Chun's power. The top. Chapter 43-26. It didn't take long for her to receive all the plots. Since there was still time, Tangwell planned to check the group to see what was going on with Empress Dowager Chun. In a few months, Meng Shirin would meet Empress Dowager Chun, who would be her backer for a while. She wanted to share this good news with Empress Dowager Chun. System. This is too much. As expected of its host. Campus bell. Is Empress Dowager Chun here? Margaret. Empress Dowager Chun isn't here right now, but Margaret's heart is already cold. Margaret, don't talk to me. Let me cry in the corner for a while. Margaret. I felt that something was wrong before, and it's just as I expected. Margaret. I knew it. Something terrible must have happened when Empress Dowager Chun's time suddenly accelerated. Margaret. Sometimes I think that if I wasn't so smart, I would definitely be very happy. Margaret. Since the God of creation is against me, why did he make me so smart? Margaret. I'm leaving. You guys continue. Ziyun. I suddenly feel that Margaret is a little pitiful. Mo Yun Tian. Aren't her apprentices the pitiful ones? She'll definitely send them to the forest to train again. Qi Shao. And those unknown protagonists. If Margaret meets them, they'll be finished. Margaret's thoughts are getting more and more perverted. Chapter 18 Empress Dowager Chun. Campus bell, you're looking for me? Campus bell. If there are no other accidents, I should be in your world. How about this? I'll tell you the plot of this world first. Empress Dowager Chun suddenly had a bad feeling. Based on her time in the group, she could understand that the world the campus bell went to and the role she occupied often had a lot of grievances. Like the people in the group, if the campus bell went to their world, they would mostly be cannon fodder. So, if she didn't meet the campus bell and her friends, she would be cannon fodder in the end. Would the Empress do something to her in advance? Empress Dowager Chun thought a lot, but she couldn't guess the truth. After listening to Tangwa's plot, she was stunned for a long time. Someone had mixed up the royal bloodline and pretended to be a princess. The point was that the princess was Empress Dowager Su's granddaughter. What was even more frightening was that she had even helped to take care of the fake Infanta and had even told the fake Infanta about the last of her forces. However, she did not know that the real Infanta was still suffering outside. She shouldn't have been the one to suffer. This bitterness was actually caused by that fake princess's mother. What made Empress Dowager Chun even more incredulous was that after the real Infanta came back, she was despised by everyone. They thought that she was evil and that her actions could not be understood. That fake Infanta was the real, kind, and beautiful person. Empress Dowager Chun felt like her outlook on life had been refreshed. In the royal palace, when could truth, kindness, and beauty offset the crime of confusing the royal bloodline and deceiving the ruler? The real princess had suffered so much because of the fake princess. It was only right for her to do something to seek revenge. She even wanted the fake princess's family to die. But what was the ending that the school bell had told her? In the end, the real princess was sent by the emperor, who was her uncle, to a bitter and cold place for political marriage. The admirers of the fake princess were the instigators. Not only that, they also wanted to make her life miserable in that bitter and cold place. Vertex. Chapter 43:27. The fake princess would become the mother of the nation. Her mother, who had harmed the real princess, would be able to retire to a beautiful place with verdant hills and clear waters. She, the immobile Empress Dowager, was suffocated to death by the Empress with a pillow. She felt so aggrieved. She felt that she was the most aggrieved person in the group. She wanted to kill all the people involved when she heard the story. She was so angry. Margaret. That sounds so infuriating. Margaret. If the school bell were to come to my side, I could still accept the fact that I would encounter such a plot. I will get my revenge when I am sober. Empress Dowager Chun. Campus bell, where are you now? Are you in danger? Right now. Empress Dowager Chun wished she could jump up and slap those people a few times to wake them up. And the Empress. She thought the Empress just hated her. It was normal for her to be defeated in the palace. She didn't expect that the Empress would protect the fake princess in order to make her angry. Without the Empress's protection, it would not be easy for the fake princess to get away with it. Empress Dowager Chun felt bad when she thought of how she had been defeated by the fake princess. That fake princess actually thought that she had changed. How laughable. She had no children and treated Empress Dowager Sue's children as her own. If it weren't for Empress Dowager Sue's blood, she wouldn't care about the so-called princesses and princesses. There were too many princesses and princesses in the palace. Some of them might be the children of her enemies. At most, she would ask them to come back and give them a decent identity. She wouldn't do her best to help them. She was not Empress Dowager Sue's granddaughter. Wasn't it normal that she didn't like her? Campus bell. When I came here, things had just started. The jade pendant had been snatched by Lu Yu, of the Beauty's Academy, and given to Ming Shireen. Empress Dowager Chun. Then isn't the campus bell in danger? I have people who can help me. The Empress is less monitoring me now. Although I can't use the chicken blood to kill the zombie worms openly, my people can still get close. Tanghua understood that Empress Dowager Chun wanted to arrange people to help her. Campus bell, don't worry about me. I'll deal with it myself. You take care of yourself first. We'll meet again when there's a chance. Now that you know the truth, you should know what to do if you meet Ming Shireen again. Empress Dowager Chun. Of course. My patience has almost reached its limit over the years. Fortunately, I met you guys. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any hope of making a comeback in this lifetime. Now it seemed that the Emperor was also a muddle-headed person who had been fooled by the Empress. Margaret, I keep hearing you mention the Empress. Empress Dowager Chun. What's the grudge between you and the Empress? Empress Dowager Chun. Actually, it's not a life and death grudge. Before the draft, the Empress and I were on the same level in the capital. To put it bluntly, they were evenly matched, and no one could suppress the other. However, the other party was unwilling to give up and always wanted to suppress me. Not only did he fail every time, he also gave others a feeling of being calculative, which put him at a disadvantage. Empress Dowager Chun. Then by accident, I became the previous emperor's concubine and lived with Empress Dowager Su. At that time, Empress Dowager Su was also a normal concubine. She was quite generous and got along well with me. Empress Dowager Su, who had a son and a daughter, was no longer that obsessed with being in royal favor. Vertex. Chapter 43:28. Empress Dowager Chun. But there are fights in the palace. Even if you don't fight, you have to fight. Not to mention Empress Dowager Su, who has a son and a daughter. Empress Dowager Su and I went through many crises together. Actually, her body wasn't very good at that time. The Empress should have been chosen with me, but she was sick that year, so it was delayed until 3 years later. In order to survive in the palace, I worked hard to climb up. I just wanted to have a peaceful life. At least I wouldn't have my food taken away by the palace people. In just 3 years, I did succeed and had a certain status in the palace. At that time, the Empress was chosen again and was given to Empress Dowager Su's son, who was the Emperor's wife. Maybe because of me, the Emperor was biased against the Empress at first, so she held a grudge. I don't know why the previous emperor gave me the title of empress before he passed away. Actually, I guess that it was the previous emperor's idea. He didn't want the emperor's family to be too powerful. Like this, after the emperor ascended the throne, there were two empresses. We got along well, but Empress Dowager Sue's body wasn't good and she passed away in a few years. The empress put a zombie bug in me. The school belle knew about it the best. She couldn't find it at all. Once it got into my body, there was no way to get rid of it. Margaret. So it was like this. The empress didn't want to be suppressed by you, so she made a move on you. Empress Dowager Chun. Something like that. Empress Dowager Chun then asked Tanghua if she was going to stay in the brothel. In her heart, Tanghua's ability is no different from that of a god. She even felt that maybe the gods knew about the grievances here and came to solve it personally. Empress Dowager Chun thought about it, but she didn't say it out loud. Study every day. School bell. I'll stay here for now. When the time is right, I'll come find you. Empress Dowager Chun, quickly solve your body's problem when you have the chance. Do you want me to get a few paper puppets to help you? Since Tanghua said this, Empress Dowager Chun would definitely agree. She couldn't wait to stand up. She didn't show it on the surface, but at least she had to stand up to do things more conveniently. Tanghua left the group, and after she came out, she made two paper puppets. They left the window and went straight to the palace to find Empress Dowager Chun. There was still a long time before night fell. She was still thinking about what to do next. She'd better stay in the brothel. She didn't care about her reputation. If she left the brothel, she couldn't ask the emperor to order to behead Lu Yu openly. She just wanted Meng Shirin to personally see her biological mother's head being chopped off. In the plot, Meng Shirin already knew that she wasn't a real princess, so she wasn't as pure and kind as those people said. She was just an ordinary person. Was a person's. She did not want to alarm Lu Yu for the time being. She would let her be proud for a while. When Lord Lu came tonight, she would control his mind and indirectly torture Lu Yu. At night, the door to Tanghua's room was pushed open. Tites want s. Teet teet. Sins were. Sinteet, seeing this, Tanghua had other thoughts. However, without prior preparation, there was no way to use that method tonight. Chapter 43-29. Lord Lu, are you satisfied? Lu Yu smiled flatteringly. Look at this face, this figure. You can't find many in the capital. I spent a lot of effort to find such a beautiful person. Not bad. Then I won't disturb Lord Lu's mood. I'll go out first. Lord Lu waved his hand and said impatiently, Go. After the door closed, Lord Lu walked up to Tanghua. Tanghua's strong spiritual power instantly hypnotized him. Lord Lu stood there in a daze, looking like a fool. Tanghua stood up and rolled up her sleeves. She went up and slapped Lord Lu several times. The slaps were so loud that even the system was shocked. After more than 10 slaps, Tanghua felt a little tired. She stared into Lord Lu's eyes. Hit yourself. With that, Lord Lu began to slap himself. Hit the main point. Lord Lu was like an obedient child. He followed Tanghua's instructions. Soon, his face was swollen like a pig's head. His face was full of finger marks and blood. Tanghua had a lot of medicine in her hands. It could quickly heal Lord Lu's injuries. She was not afraid of being exposed. She had already thought about it. In the future, whenever Lord Lu came, she would hypnotize him and make him slap himself. She was a little excited at the thought. If it wasn't for Lord Lu, she would have forgotten that she had strong spiritual power. If she wanted to hypnotize ordinary people, wouldn't it be a matter of minutes? For the entire night, Lord Lu slapped himself. Tanghua sat on the side and slowly sipped her tea. The next day, Lord Lu's face was unrecognizable. Tanghua took out a medicine bottle and handed it to Lord Lu. Apply the medicine. When the medicine powder was applied to his face, the previous scars gradually disappeared. However, that was only on the surface. In reality, Lord Lu could still feel the pain on his face. In the future, you will tell others that you like to drink tea and play chess with me. You think it's an elegant thing. Your face hurts. That's because you accidentally hit the door. From this day on, you won't be able to do it in that area. You can't touch any girl. If you do, you'll feel pain all over. The only exception is Lu Yu, the procuress of the Immortal Academy. After receiving another order from Tanghua, Lord Lu immediately came to his senses. When he saw Tanghua, he said with satisfaction, "Let's call it a day. I'll come and play chess with Miss Guo another day." "Take care, Lord Lu." Tanghua watched official Lu touch his face as he walked out. It was so painful that his face twitched. At that time, an idea popped up in his mind. Immortal Academy's door wasn't good enough. He wanted to tear down the door here. Because Tanghua didn't want to run away, Lu Yu didn't make things difficult for her. However, after Lord Lu left, she still came over to warn her. When she learned that Lord Lu had only played chess and tasted tea with Tanghua for one night, she still found it hard to believe. Lu Yu also asked what kind of talents Tanghua had, and Tanghua said that she was good at music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Lu Yu didn't feel very good. A girl who knew these things must be from an extraordinary family. Then, she relaxed. Fortunately, her daughter had a good life in the Ming family. She also knew these things, so she wouldn't be exposed. The matter of the jade pendant might not be discovered yet. Lu Yu threw this matter to the back of her mind. Lu Yu began to think about how to make Tanghua help her make money. When Lord Lu left, he didn't ask her to leave this person alone. That way, she could use Tanghua to make money. It was very easy for Tanghua to hypnotize official Lu. The reason why she didn't ask official Lu to make such a decision was that she had a plan. The peak. Chapter 43:30. Didn't Lu Yu like to use these young girls to make money? In this era, it was fine if they were willing, but she took advantage of her backing to force them into prostitution. She couldn't tolerate this. If she liked money so much, she should earn it herself. System. Host. I have a feeling that you're up to something. Tell me, what do you want to do? Nothing much. I just feel that Lu Yu is already an adult. If she wants money, she should earn it herself. Don't you think so? System. So, you're still up to something, right? Lu Yu gave Tanghua a lot of instructions. In any case, she warned her, since you're here, don't think about running away. Everyone knows the rules of beautiful immortal courtyard. Even if you want to run, you won't be able to get out of this courtyard. I won't run. Tanghua pretended to be afraid. Lu Yu was very satisfied. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Tanghua poured a cup of tea for Lu Yu. There was only a little something added in the tea. Lu Yu obviously didn't think that Tanghua could do anything. She drank the tea in one gulp, arranged a servant girl for Tanghua, and left. Lu Yu was planning to let Tanghua play the zither in the evening to attract some customers for beautiful immortal courtyard. Of course, she didn't plan to let Tanghua receive other customers in a short time. After all, she was her courtesan queen. As the saying goes, what you can't get is the best. Only by letting those customers do some elegant things like playing chess, playing the zither, and composing poems, would the value of Tanghua, this courtesan queen, be higher. It wasn't that she pitied Tanghua, but she felt that she could earn more money this way. If there was a powerful person who wanted Tanghua to do other things, Lu Yu would be more than happy to give enough money. Lu Yu was completely unaware that when she walked out of the door, the guests outside were already looking at her strangely. Tanghua also decided to change the feng shui of this brothel when she had time, especially the inside and outside of Lu Yu's room. Night came again. This time, Tanghua's clothes were more appropriate. This was the new image that Lu Yu had arranged for her, a unique courtesan who only sold her talents. Sure enough, it attracted a lot of people. Tanghua went up the stage with the guqin in her arms. Her lips curled up under the veil. Giving her the guqin? Wasn't that courting death? Sound attacks were her specialty. When the zither started playing, Lu Yu, who was greeting the guests at the side, felt that something was wrong. She kept feeling that her heart was thumping wildly, and her cheeks were slightly red. The guests who were still looking at Tanghua suddenly noticed Lu Yu's face. They were shocked and stared at her in a daze. The girls in the brothel all felt it. They looked over and also felt that Lu Yu was indeed beautiful today. However, as a brothel keeper, Lu Yu had not received any guests for many years. Lu Yu was just a brothel keeper. If a powerful guest ordered her, she would have to accept even if she didn't want to. Originally, Lu Yu wanted to let Tangwa attract more guests, but she did not expect that all the guests' eyes were on her. She vaguely felt that something was wrong. In the end, she heard someone say, "Mama Lu is really beautiful today." Mama Lu. At this time, a servant walked in front of Lu Yu. "My master invites you over." Lu Yu could not refuse, so she braced herself and went over. Lu Yu did not come back this time. The next day, when Lu Yu woke up, she felt extremely disgusted. However, things were not over yet. Once night fell, guests took a fancy to her. She could refuse ordinary guests, but she had no choice but to cater to those with power and money. Peak. Chapter 43:31. In just a few days, everyone in the capital knew that Mama Lu's business was the best in beauteous courtyard. Now, every night, Tangwa would sit there and play the guqin, but the guests' eyes would be on Lu Yu. Even if she did not appear, there would still be guests who would come and order her. This made Lu Yu miserable. However, Tangwa's presence did attract some elegant guests. They really came to listen to the guqin and did not have any other thoughts. Naturally, they were not interested in Lu Yu, the procuress. Lu Yu was very busy every day. There were guests at night, and she had to go to some important guests' houses during the day. She did not have time to care about Tangwa. Tangwa took the opportunity to change the feng shui of Lu Yu's room. Many things could cause people to hallucinate. Anyway, as long as a man came here, he would not be able to control himself after seeing Lu Yu. Didn't Lu Yu like to force people into prostitution? Wouldn't it be more comfortable to earn money by yourself? Lu Yu was already a middle-aged woman, but she was still so attractive. It caused a sensation in the capital. She had the tendency to become the #1 prostitute, which made the other brothel madams gnash their teeth. That night, Tangwa saw someone she knew. Meng Shirin's father, Old Master Meng, was looking at Lu Yu with an infatuated expression. Not long after, Old Master Meng called Lu Yu over. When Tangwa saw this, she smiled very happily. When she smiled, her eyebrows curved, and it made the elegant guests who were listening to the guqin compose a few poems for her on the spot. After playing the guqin, she played chess with these people as a way to make friends. In addition, during the discussion, she found out the identity of these people. Tangwa's talent was accumulated from many worlds. Every time she said a sentence, it would make people think for a long time. Gradually, she attracted many elegant guests. Even if she was in the brothel, these people could not help but admire her. At first, there were some who looked down on her, but in the end, they were defeated by her 2 sentences of poems and were ashamed. From then on, they came to listen to the guqin every day. Occasionally, they would show her their poems and ask her for advice. The only way to convince these talented people was to crush them in terms of talent. Tangwa had never thought of attracting this group of people. Now, she suddenly had that thought. A princess in a brothel was not something to be proud of. She really didn't care much about her reputation, but she didn't like people making an issue out of it. If she befriended these scholars and made them admire her talent, then in the future, if someone were to criticize her, she was sure that these scholars would scold that person badly. In just a few short months, the capital's beautiful Immortal Academy had produced a courtesan belle who was both talented and skilled, and the #1 prostitute, Lu Yu, who was a middle-aged woman. Lu Yu was very busy now. She secretly complained in her heart, wondering if the feng shui was bad. When official Lu came to beautiful Immortal Academy, he came to listen to Tangwa play the zither. Then, when the time came, he turned around and looked for Lu Yu to discuss life. Lu Yu raised her price again and again, but she still couldn't dispel the enthusiasm of these customers. In addition, Empress Dowager Qin's body had recovered. With the help of the 2 paper puppets arranged by Tangwa, she knew everything in the capital and the palace like the back of her hand. Of course, she also knew that Tangwa had caused a stir in beautiful Immortal Academy. Lu Yu became the #1 prostitute. Even if she thought with her toes, she knew that it was because of the school's beauty. In addition, Meng Shirin and the Crown Prince, Tang Wenpan, had met. The crown prince was the son of the current empress. The two of them had feelings for each other. But now, the Meng family was in trouble, and the whole family might die. As expected by Tanghua and Empress Dowager Chun, when they were checking Meng Shirin's identity, someone accidentally found the jade pendant on her. Because the other party had seen it before, they hurriedly reported it. Not long after, Princess Yunjun brought Meng Shirin to the princess mansion. The summit. Chapter 43-32. In less than 2 days, the news that eldest Princess Yunjin's lost daughter had been found spread throughout the capital. The matter of how eldest Princess Yunjin recognized her daughter was also discussed by everyone. The small jade pendant that looked like a crescent moon was also talked about enthusiastically. Everyone said that it was all thanks to this jade pendant. Otherwise, the young princess would have been stranded outside forever. She would have been killed by villains and even lost her life. After Meng Shirin was recognized by eldest Princess Yunjin, the matter of the Meng family being framed by traitors and almost losing their heads was naturally taken seriously, and the matter was quickly investigated. The traitor who framed the Meng family was personally punished by the emperor's decree. Eldest Princess Yunjin's daughter was only a few years old when she was lost, so there weren't many common memories between them. Moreover, it was very normal for a young child to lose her past memories. However, Meng Shirin knew that she wasn't eldest Princess Yunjin's daughter at all. She was different from other children. She already had memories when she was 1 year old. She could clearly remember many things when she was young. Once it was discovered that she was pretending to be of royal blood, the Meng family would definitely be finished. However, if she didn't take advantage of the situation, everyone in the Meng family would die. For the entire Meng family, she had to be a princess. Regarding this matter, Meng Shirin had a discussion with Master Meng. Inin, from now on, you are eldest Princess Yunjin's daughter. Fortunately, the people who know about your origin are only my 2 trusted subordinates. Master Meng rejoiced in his heart. That year at the villa, he was actually seriously ill. One morning, the old servant beside him went out and found a baby girl at the door. This baby girl didn't cry or make a fuss. She was very obedient, and he liked her very much. He couldn't bear to see this baby girl wandering in the wilderness. Thinking that he was seriously ill, he might as well do something good. Raising a baby girl wasn't a problem. To his surprise, ever since he raised this baby girl, his illness was getting better day by day. Master Meng was a person who believed in fate. He thought that this was a little lucky star bestowed to him by the heavens. From then on, he really raised Meng Shirin as his real daughter. He loved her more than his biological children. It was already 3 or 4 years later when he completely recovered from his illness. When Meng Shirin really appeared in the Meng family, she was only 3 or 4 years old, about the same age as when the real princess was lost. It was such a coincidence that Princess Yunjin's daughter went missing that year. In eldest Princess Yunjin's eyes, everything matched up. This was undoubtedly her daughter. Only then did Meng Shirin realize that she wasn't old Master Meng's real daughter. Meng Shirin, on the other hand, felt a lot more at ease. That year when her father was recuperating, she appeared in front of everyone. It was indeed the year when the real little princess was lost. Then, her father only needed to insist that he had picked her up outside. He didn't need to say anything else, and it wouldn't arouse any suspicion. Got it, father. The Meng family was saved, but Meng Shirin was not very happy. Now that she had a new identity, she could no longer be with the person she liked. Inin, it's been hard on you. If the truth is exposed, several generations of our Meng family will lose their lives. Meng Shirin felt bitter in her heart, but she shook her head. Father, don't worry. I will keep this secret. Perhaps this is fate. Oh right, Inin, how did you get that jade pendant? Meng Shirin's expression changed slightly. She didn't want to talk about Lu Yuer, so she said, I accidentally picked her up. Vertex. Chapter 43-33. Then the heavens are blessing our Meng family. Old Master Meng felt that Meng Shirin was the Meng family's lucky star. Old Master Meng didn't doubt Meng Shirin's words. He gave her a few instructions before letting her go. Meng Shirin had already moved to Princess Yunjin's residence. Her identity was different, and she had more things to do every day. Princess Yunjin was grateful that the Meng family could raise her daughter so well. She even helped the Meng family to ask for an invitation. Now, the Meng family was an imperial merchant. The Meng family benefited from a disaster. They all felt that old Master Meng was right. Meng Shirin was a little lucky star. As long as their Meng family didn't make a mistake, they would be rich in the future. What a good life. She was originally a merchant's daughter, but she suddenly became a noble. Why didn't I have such a life? Don't even think about it. We don't even have a clean identity, and you still want to be noble? Keep dreaming. Sigh. Not only can we not be noble, but even the business of a Mortal Beauty Academy has fallen to Mother Lu. I don't know what's wrong with those customers. When they see Mother Lu, they can't take their eyes off her. They don't even look at me. Yeah, my old customers all ran to Mother Lu. They even said that they were satisfied with just one look at Mother Lu. I don't know what's wrong with them. The girls of Immortal Beauty Academy were discussing recent matters when they suddenly realized that there was a particularly calm person sitting beside them. They couldn't help but look over. Even our Miss Guo can't compare to Mother Lu. It's really strange. The people who come to look for Miss Guo are all listening to the zither and playing chess. Those who come to look for Mother Lu want to do that. Don't you think it's strange? I don't know if it's strange or not, but Mother Lu must have eaten some elixir. Her face is as beautiful as a young girl. How can those customers not be mesmerized? In my opinion, this Immortal Beauty Academy can hold on with Mother Lu alone. I'm really afraid that one day, Mother Lu will feel that we are useless and chase us out. We have been in Immortal Beauty Academy since we were 12 or 13 years old. Where can we find a place to stay outside? So what if they have accumulated money? These men liked young and beautiful women and married women with clean backgrounds. With our status, our bodies would have been damaged long ago. At most, we can be a lowly concubine and have to be looked down upon everywhere. Just thinking about those days is hard. You said to find a good one. Who knows if this person is good today? Do you understand? We are in this place. Do you still not understand? How many of the older sisters and younger sisters who had married into good families with huge sums of money had a good ending? Most of those men only coveted the sisters' looks and money. When the looks were gone and the money was spent, they would have a change of heart. I haven't heard of anyone who hasn't changed their mind. So, other than this brothel, where else can we go? Even if they had saved up money, they didn't dare to take it and leave. In the brothel, at least there would be protection. Tangwa studied the chess record and fell into deep thought as she listened to the girl's words. In a trance, she had another idea. Did all of you come here voluntarily? Tangwa rarely communicated with these girls. When she suddenly spoke, all the girls' eyes fell on her face. I didn't come here voluntarily, but my family was poor. In order to save money for my younger brother to marry a wife, my parents sold me here. The peak. Chapter 43-34. I was about to starve to death that year. Mama Lu said that I could eat and drink to my heart's content if I followed her. At that time, I only wanted to live. I didn't think about the future. I was separated from my family. Later on, I was caught and sold here. I knew that once I entered this place, I couldn't get out. At first, I didn't want to, but after experiencing all kinds of hardships, I finally had no choice. Once you enter this place, you can't get out. Who would want to come to a place like this if they could be innocent? Although Mama Lu has taken away the souls of the guests during this period of time, to be honest, this is the most relaxing time I've had since I came to Immortal Beauty Academy. Miss Guo, I heard that you were caught by Mama Lu? A lady suddenly sat beside Tangwa. She looked older than her. She remembered the lady's name, Ying. Tangwa replied, I was indeed caught by Mama Lu. Not only that, she even took away my personal belongings. Mama Lu is such a person. It's only because she doesn't have time to care about us that she has time and dares to talk about this. Speaking of which, Miss Guo, you're quite lucky. If the guests are always fascinated by Mama Lu, it's a good thing for you, Lon Lon added. Red Bean nodded. Miss Guo, you have both talents and skills. The guests who come to look for you are all elegant. I'm really envious of you. Those elegant guests won't even look at people like us. Miss Guo, you know how to compose poems and play chess. Your writing must be beautiful. Lan Lan's eyes widened. I still don't know how to write my name. I wonder if Miss Guo can teach me. Tang Gua nodded. Of course. After a while, brush, ink, paper, and inkstone were brought over. Tang Gua taught Lan how to write her name. Some of the illiterate ladies wanted to write too. Tang Gua taught them one by one. Although some of these ladies were illiterate, most of them were good at music. Playing the zither, playing the pipa, and singing were all basic skills. Miss Guo, your writing is really good. Ying looked at Tang Gua's handwriting and couldn't help but praise her. She could be considered one of the most talented girls in Immortal Beauty Academy. They could tell at a glance whether Tang Gua's handwriting was good or bad. It was not surprising that those elegant guests admired Tang Gua very much. Just based on these few words, those scholars would probably feel ashamed of their inferiority. Miss Guo, your handwriting is so good. So you must have come from an extraordinary background. How did you end up like this? Have you ever thought about going home? Ying asked in pity. Tang Gua took a deep look at Ying and said, I fled to the capital. Her short sentence told everyone present that she couldn't go home. Something must have happened at home. So that's how it is. If nothing happened to Miss Guo's family, she must be a lady from a respectable family. Ying continued. Unknowingly, she had already sat down beside Tang Gua. Her face was full of pity, as if she felt sorry that such a person had fallen into prostitution. The unforeseen event came too quickly. No one could have predicted it. Perhaps this is fate. Ying also sighed. Yes, sometimes it's fate. Look at the little princess who returned to her family. Isn't this fate? Tang Gua noticed that when Ying said this, she was obviously paying attention to her expression. She guessed that Ying should be Lu Yu's confidant. Although Lu Yu was very busy, she was definitely concerned about her daughter's matters. Peak. Chapter 43-35. Lu Yu probably didn't expect that the jade pendant was a royal item, so she was probably worried right now. She had made quite a few friends now. Let alone Immortal Academy, she was considered a popular person in the capital. Every day, she earned a lot of money for Immortal Academy, so Lu Yu definitely couldn't treat her like before. Moreover, there were quite a few guests with high status, so Lu Yu didn't dare to do anything to her. Arranging for a spy to sound her out was the best way. Miss Guo, did you learn these things when you were young? Ying continued to ask. She clearly wanted to know everything about Tang Gua's past. Tang Gua replied, I'm quite talented in this area. My parents taught me these things when I was young. My parents are very proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. When they have nothing to do, they like to teach me these things. Unfortunately, a mountain flood came in the middle of the night and took their lives. So it's like this. Ying felt that it was enough, so she didn't ask any more questions. The couple who adopted Tang Gua were indeed a pair of people who loved mountains and rivers. She wasn't wrong. They were proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. The original owner knew that she was picked up by her parents when she was young. However, her memories when she was 3 or 4 years old were blurry and she couldn't remember. However, her parents did mention that they had found her somewhere. After the couple lost their lives to the mountain torrent, she lived a vagrant life for several years. In the end, she came to the capital and was captured by Lu Yu. She ended up in this place. Because of the original owner's experience, she decided to temporarily learn these talents. When they investigated in the future, they would find some traces. Ying felt that she could report back. She said a few words to Tang Gua and said that she was sleepy and wanted to go back to her room to rest before leaving. Most of the remaining girls admired Tang Gua's talents, especially those who couldn't read. They were very sweet and called her sister because they wanted to learn how to write their own names. Tang Gua was happy to accept these students who liked to learn. She was very happy to teach them. What was the point of playing alone? It was more fun when everyone played together. She first taught the girls how to write their names, then she tried to trick them. She judged their attitudes towards Lu Yu and chose those who had a grudge against Lu Yu preparing to carefully train them in the future. Meanwhile, Ying had already arrived at Lu Yu's room. She repeated what she had heard from Tanghua. Well, I got it. You can leave now. Keep an eye on her. I'm afraid that she'll be restless and want to escape from the beautiful Immortal Academy. Of course, Lu Yu wouldn't take the initiative to say that she was investigating Tanghua's background because of her daughter. She was also afraid. She thought that the jade pendant was an item from a rich family. She never thought that it was an item from the royal family. If her identity was exposed, her daughter would be finished. Fortunately, that girl didn't seem to know her identity. That way, her daughter could live her life peacefully. Ying didn't really understand this, so she obediently retreated. Lu Yu's face turned red. It was all that girl's fault. She had both talents and skills, attracting a large group of refined guests, scholars, and even some nobles were willing to befriend her. Even if she wanted to kill her, she couldn't. Otherwise, she would go all out and kill this girl. Once and for all, no one would be able to threaten her daughter anymore. Recently, there are actually quite a few people who want to redeem that girl. That won't do. Lu Yu clenched her teeth and pondered. After she leaves, who knows what kind of things will happen. If by some freak combination of factors, someone finds out the truth, then my Shireen will lose her life. You can't blame me. Since that's the case, you should stay in the beautiful Immortal Academy forever. Peak. Chapter 43-36. Tanghua didn't know that Lu Yu had rejected many guests who wanted to help her redeem her freedom. Even if she knew, she wouldn't care too much. Ying maintained a neutral relationship with her. If Lu Yu didn't give her any orders, she wouldn't ask too much. She was a very qualified spy. Recently, she got along well with the girls from Immortal Beauty Academy. She taught them how to read, play chess, and draw. These girls could tell that Tanghua was teaching them sincerely. She called them Miss Guo, Sister Guo, and now Sir. After interacting with Tanghua, they realized that she knew everything. They felt that it was a pity. How did such a good person end up in such a place? Tanghua drugged all the girls that Tanghua was willing to nurture and were willing to learn seriously. It wasn't anything bad. It was just a drug that made men lose interest in them when they looked at them. It was easier to take advantage of this time. After all, most of the men who came to have fun had their eyes on Lu Yu. There were still some who couldn't be bothered to learn these things. She couldn't be bothered to care about them. With Tanghua's help, the girls that she had her eyes on had indeed changed in just a few months. They sang songs composed by Tanghua. They could also learn from others in chess. They could also compose some simple poems and do simple couplets. Unknowingly, they also attracted a group of more talented scholars. Host, isn't it a little bad for you to help them like this? The system couldn't stand it anymore. Sound attacks, hypnosis, were pills supposed to be used like this? I'm happy to. Anyway, I have nothing to do. Isn't it good to teach a few students? Until now, Tanghua had been teaching these girls for a year. Because of her help, these girls simply learned quickly. In terms of chess skills alone, any one of them would be able to defeat a scholar. They even introduced to the guests that everything they learned was taught by Tanghua. They were Tanghua's students. Unknowingly, another type of scenery appeared in Immortal Beauty Academy. From time to time, a scholar could be seen walking out of a room with a face full of resentment. He would even turn around and shout, "I'm not convinced. I'll be back. Just you wait." How could they be blessed? These prostitutes had only used a year to surpass them. Wasn't this too much of a blow to their confidence? Everyone who came to challenge them looked down on the women of the brothel. When he lost later on, he was naturally a little angry out of humiliation, but he was also unwilling to give up. He continued to challenge Zhang Xian, lost, and challenged Zhang Xian once more. Hearing that the other party had only studied for a year, he felt like vomiting blood. Tanghua felt that it was hard for prostitutes to find a good man in this world, so she might as well teach them some skills. In fact, her original intention was to expand her influence. When her students could trample all the scholars in the world on the ground, one could imagine what the outside world would think of her. It was also a good thing for the girls who were willing to throw off their former lives. In the ancient world, the existence of brothels was legal. There were even official brothels. However, forcing a good girl into prostitution was not acceptable. Lu Yu's life should be worth it. When the system heard Tang was faint words, it felt scared. The famous life of a brothel in the capital will be gloriously beheaded. System. The host must be a pervert. Miss Guer, there's an important guest. The servant girl's voice brought Tangwa back to her senses. She asked casually, listening to the zither, playing chess, or composing poems, paintings, and calligraphy? The important guest didn't say. This servant has already prepared everything for you. Important guest? Tangwa was still calculating in her heart how important this important guest was. She didn't know if he was a member of the royal family. She felt that it was about time. She had to think of a way to expose her identity. Empress Dowager Chun had already secretly deployed her forces. It was time to close the net. Tangwa arrived at Yuntingxian. This was a place specially used to receive important guests. It was in the middle of a man-made lake in the Immortal Academy. The scenery was very unique. It was also summer. The lake was filled with lotus leaves, and pink lotus flowers bloomed. It was very beautiful. When she walked into Yuntingxian, she saw a young man sitting by the stone table. This is Eunuch Wei. Tangwa couldn't help but glance at him. She then bowed and greeted, "Greetings, Eunuch Wei." It was a eunuch? Ah! She couldn't help but glance at the man's chin. Following his chin, she couldn't help but complain to the system. He's clearly a fake eunuch. He's still pretending to be one. It can't be. It can't be. Great host, it can't be what I think it is. The system was shocked. Is it that guy? Heavens, it's too scary. Host, this guy can't pretend to be a eunuch in a brothel. He's dirty. The peak. Chapter 43:37. All of you can leave. The young man waved his hand. The people beside him didn't dare to disobey the order and quickly retreated. When only he and Tangwa were left in Yuntingxian, Wei Sun's gaze fell on Tangwa's face. You're the Guo that those scholars admire? Yes. Tangwa maintained a faint smile on her face as she answered. Wei Sun looked at her again before saying, Did you come to Immortal Beauty Academy voluntarily? Tangwa was a little surprised. She flipped through her memories. There was indeed a powerful eunuch in the palace with the surname Wei. However, they had only met a few times. The other party had always been doing well in the palace. It was said that he was very valued by the emperor. Even the empress had to give this eunuch Wei some face. This eunuch Wei wasn't someone who personally served the emperor. Instead, he was someone who was in charge of the East Faction Hall. What a coincidence! This person was also surnamed Wei. Tangwa didn't understand why the other party suddenly came to her door. Perhaps it was because she had caused a big commotion that this eunuch Wei was interested in. No. Tangwa decided to tell the truth and see what he wanted to do first. Wei Sun's eyes darkened. He played with the white jade in his hand and didn't speak for the time being. Tangwa wasn't in a hurry and sat to the side to wait. After a long time, Wei Sun said, Do you want to leave here? Tangwa finally understood that this eunuch Wei was scheming. He probably took a fancy to her ability and wanted to use it to exchange with her. If I can leave here, what does eunuch Wei want me to do? As soon as these words fell, Wei Sun's dark eyes fell on Tangwa again. He stared at her for a long time, but she didn't show any fear. Instead, he laughed out loud. Good. Tangwa didn't understand this good word. This person's words were really not straightforward. You're very smart. Although sometimes being smart isn't a good thing, I need a smart person right now. Wei Sun saw that Tangwa was still listening very seriously, and his voice suddenly became cold. I can help you get out of here. Mama Lu won't let me redeem myself. Thank you for your kindness, eunuch Wei. Tangwa pretended to be troubled. Moreover, this Immortal Academy and Lord Lu, she didn't finish her sentence, but Wei Sun should be able to understand. If it was an ordinary ransom, it would be impossible for her to get out of here. If that didn't achieve a good effect, what effect would it have? It was the result that made lose her head quickly and made all the scholars in the city angry. Wei Sun could tell that Tangwa didn't look like she was in a hurry to go out, but he could feel that she would go out sooner or later. But why wasn't she in a hurry to get out? At first, he really thought that it was Lu Yu and Lord Lu's obstruction that prevented those elegant guests from redeeming her freedom. Now, he didn't see it that way. The woman in front of him was very calm, as if everything was under her control. He was used to seeing all kinds of people, especially these women who had fallen into prostitution. Which one of them didn't show fear when they heard his name? She was the only one who didn't seem to treat him as anything. Her attitude towards him was similar to how she treated other refined guests. So, why is that? Is the bloodline really that important? This was her innate bearing. She was destined to be different from ordinary people. If this was the case, could his plan still be carried out? Wei Sun stroked the white jade handle and pondered. After a long time, he spoke again. I can take you out of here. The peak. Chapter 43:38. Eunuch Wei, are you referring to the so-called redemption? Wei Sun was clearly used to Tangwa's bluntness. He said, yes. What about after we leave? Tangwa asked. She was indeed curious about what Wei Sun wanted her to do, but the other party was not straightforward at all. He spoke half of it and hid half of it. It was similar to constipation. After you leave, you will have a different identity. Your status will be noble, and you will not have to worry about food and clothing. Wei Sun's words were much longer than before. Of course, even if you don't agree to my request, I still plan to take you out. You shouldn't stay in a mortal academy. Eunuch Wei, are you trying to say that I can leave a mortal academy without doing anything for you? Wei Sun nodded indifferently. He couldn't place his plans on a woman. Regarding this matter, he had also unintentionally learned about it. Since he knew, there was no reason to let someone with the royal bloodline wander outside. He couldn't force her to do anything. If he took her back, he could make those people cause a ruckus and cause some trouble. This was something he was willing to see. I won't hide it from you. Thinking of this, Wei Sun didn't want to keep her in suspense anymore. His intuition told him that there might be some surprises waiting for him if he took her back. Even if he wanted revenge, with her identity, he couldn't control her. It was easy for her to betray him. In a while, he would make a request. If she was willing to try, everyone would be happy. If she wasn't willing, he would take it as a good karma and leave a good impression. It might be useful in the future. Her existence would have a certain impact on that person. Then, she and he were destined to be on friendly terms. There would be many opportunities for cooperation in the future. The main thing was that Wei Sun felt that she wasn't stupid. He couldn't help but laugh. A woman who could make all the scholars in the city praise her, even if she was a prostitute, was not stupid. Just think about it. How many people would be able to keep those scholars in line? If someone were to say anything bad about her, saying that she was just a lowly prostitute, they would definitely be scolded back by these people. Not only would they scold her to her face, but they would also write poems and scold her. These scholars seemed to be possessed and had gone mad. They admired her, adored her, and felt ashamed to stand in front of her. They thought that they had studied for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but in the end, they couldn't even compare to a woman. This woman was proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. She could be said to be a master-level figure, but no one felt that they could catch up to her. What was even more frightening was that she had a group of students who were also prostitutes. They had only been learning these things for a short period of time, but they had already made many scholars feel ashamed of their inferiority. Have you seen this before? Wei Sun took out a jade pendant, which was exactly the same as the jade pendant that Lu Yu had snatched away from Tangwa. Wei Sun saw that she was stunned and thought that he had found the right person. There would always be traces of something done. The appearance of this jade pendant is exactly the same as mine, but it's not mine. Tangwa still spoke the truth. Wei Sun gave a rare smile and handed the jade pendant to her. Do you want to know where this jade pendant is now? Where is it? Tangwa asked. Didn't Mama Lu take it away? Wei Sun looked straight into her eyes. Did she really not know that someone had already used the jade pendant to replace her identity? Wei Sun was also a little confused. Perhaps She didn't know. Anyone who knew that they were supposed to be a golden branch and jade leaf, but had been framed and reduced to a prostitute, could they still be so indifferent? But that wasn't necessarily the case. The woman in front of him was unusual. Peak. Chapter 43:39. Do you remember the incident a few years ago when the little princess of the royal family was recognized? Tangwa said, "Of course I remember. It was said that it was because of a jade pendant." Her voice stopped abruptly, as if she had realized why. Wei Sun smiled. Yes, it was this jade pendant. His eyes didn't move. He carefully observed Tangwa's expression, but he couldn't see anything. It was really interesting. Perhaps this was the difference between a real princess and a fake princess. The real princess in front of him was more in line with his imagination. As for the fake princess, it was as if she didn't have a brain. Her eyes darted around as if she was afraid that others wouldn't know what she was thinking. What made him even more amused was that the fake princess was having an affair with the crown prince. How interesting. The fake princess seemed to know that she was a fake, but the crown prince didn't know about it. He was in pain every day because the person he liked had become his cousin. What was even more amazing was that the crown prince didn't care about the taboo and chose to secretly be with the fake princess. The fake princess didn't refuse at all. Seeing that this pair of infatuated people couldn't be together openly because of their identities, he decided to be kind and help them. Dear host, is there something wrong with this person? What is he thinking so happily? His eyes are full of treachery. The system couldn't help but complain. It had been observing for a long time, and now it could guess that Wei Sun didn't come to the brothel to look at girls, but directly for its dear host. However, with that treacherous look, it didn't think it was a good thing. Host, this guy is not obedient. Although his looks are still very good, he's not likable. Don't want him. He's probably scheming something. Tangwa pursed her lips and smiled. She wasn't in a hurry and waited for Wei Sun to finish his dream. After a while, Wei Sun coughed softly. He seemed to be thinking too far ahead and hadn't done the thing in front of him. You should understand now, right? Wei Sun asked. You're the real princess. The one who was recognized was a fake. I found out about this by accident. After investigating it, I came to find you. Didn't Mother Lu take this jade pendant away? Why did it appear in someone else's hands? Wei Sun couldn't tell whether she really didn't know or was pretending. He only knew that the relationship between him and her would never become hostile. Because the truth would allow them to have a common enemy, it would depend on whether she wanted to swallow her anger or take revenge. Princess, you might not know why you were captured and brought to Immortal Beauty Academy, right? Wei Sun took a sip of tea and began to tell Tangwa about the things he had investigated. He didn't leave out a single thing, including the fact that Lu Yu'er and Meng Shirin were mother and daughter. He also told her about how Meng Shirin knew that he was a fake and how she had an affair with the crown prince. Princess, you may still have doubts. How did the royal family recognize Meng Shirin so quickly without suspecting her identity? One person is very important. Tangwa asked subconsciously. Who? Of course she knew. She didn't expect that Eunuch Wei was not a simple person. He actually discovered these secrets. After the death of the original owner, something terrible must have happened in Beiguang country because of Wei Sun's existence. It was unknown if the male and female leads, Meng Shirin and Crown Prince Tang Wenpan had one, or if the scheming Eunuch Wei had one. Vertex. Chapter 43:40. The Current Empress? Although Tangwa already knew the answer, after hearing Wei Sun say it, she still asked why. Wei Sun smiled and said, I don't know for now. Eunuch Wei, are you sure that I'm the princess who was left outside? I'm sure. Princess, you've always been wearing this jade pendant. You didn't lose it before Lu Yu or took it away, right? Of course not. My adoptive parents said that it was something I had when they found me. That's right. Princess, you're no doubt a real noble. You shouldn't be left here. Wei Sun realized that Tangwa still didn't seem to want to go out. He understood that the princess was calmer than he thought. In fact, The other party had long known of his true identity. Lu Yuer wanted to hide her identity, but she might have given it away. For her to hide in beautiful immortal academy like this, she most likely had her own plans. Eunuch Wei, how do you plan to take me out? Do you want to take me out secretly and solve this matter behind closed doors? Since Eunuch Wei said that Ming Shirin is favored by the Empress and the Crown Prince, they won't be willing to make a big deal out of it if I go out like this. They might even let it go without a conclusion. Ming Shirin probably doesn't know that Lu Yuer is her biological mother. When the time comes, she won't know anything, and her childhood memories are blurred. What can she do to her? Wei Sun understood that the princess was quite resentful. She didn't want to suffer and not let others know. Even if she didn't lose her virginity in Fairyland, this experience was dishonorable. If she was taken back secretly, even if the royal family recognized her, it couldn't be announced to the public. If Ming Shirin insisted that she didn't know the truth and thought that she was the princess, then he was innocent. The royal family might not admit it. Ming Shirin was a bit strange. None of the important figures in the royal family disliked her. Even a few princes and the sons of courtiers treated Ming Shirin strangely. She even suspected that Ming Shirin was using some kind of bewitching spell on these people. Of course, it was impossible. The Ming family's crisis was solved by pretending to be the princess. I don't know what you plan to do. I'll cooperate with you. Tang Guo was not in a hurry to express herself. Instead, she asked, then what is Eunuch Wei's purpose? Their eyes met, and then they slowly looked away. Wei Sun doesn't need the princess to do anything. The princess's idea is to blow this matter up and let those who deserve to be punished be punished. This is in line with Wei Sun's intentions. If princess insists on Wei Sun giving a reason, then it should be because he has some grudges with the empress. As long as princess does not associate with the empress, it will be the best outcome for Wei Sun. Tangwa couldn't help but smile. This person really knew how to judge people. The empress deliberately helped to conceal the truth. How could I be on the same side as her? This empress was really not simple. She could meddle in anything. It seemed that Wei Sun had some deep enmity with the empress. Wei Sun is relieved to hear princess's words, Wei Sun said. Now, can princess tell me your plan? It's as you think. I want to blow this matter up. Lu Yuer, Ming Shirin, the Ming family, and the empress. These insiders deliberately hid the truth. I don't want any of them to escape punishment. Tang Guo looked up. Eunuch Wei is very clear about the crime of mixing up the royal bloodline, right? Peak. Chapter 43-41. If that's the case, you'll have to face the criticism of the world after you take your revenge. You'll probably be alone for the rest of your life. No matter how noble her status was, the young masters of normal families would not be willing to marry a princess who had fallen into the dust of prostitution. They would only be ridiculed by others. Even if they were ordered to marry a princess, they would have to marry her. The princess might not have a good life. What's there to be afraid of? Those who want to say it can do it. I just want those who hurt me and took away my identity to be punished. I want the whole world to know the humiliation I've suffered. This was what the original owner of the body wanted. But what were the attitudes of those people at that time? Lu Yuer said that she had no choice but to do so. She was only forced by Lord Lu to find a young lady. She did not expect that she would find her own daughter. She did all this because she did not want her daughter to fall into prostitution. If she knew that the person who replaced her was the princess, she wouldn't have dared to do it. These words were so disgusting. Didn't it mean that if it was a girl from an ordinary family, she should have suffered in her daughter's place? Ming Shirin said that she didn't know and really thought that she was the princess. She was glad that it was found out in time. Otherwise, the Ming family would not be able to redress the injustice. How could Ming Shirin not know? She knew it clearly. Because the original owner of the body had a bad attitude, everyone thought that she was a bad person. Ming Shirin, who had taken over her identity, didn't even apologize. She didn't know? What a joke. She knew very well that the jade pendant didn't belong to her. She knew very well whether she was the princess or not. She still wanted to escape the blame. She didn't want to be implicated with the Ming family, so she could only choose to continue lying. The The crown prince, those princes, and the courtiers all said that Meng Shireen was innocent. She didn't know and couldn't be blamed. Many people said so. Everyone really thought that Meng Shireen was so innocent. She was the most wrong person in the world. They didn't think about who was the one who suffered. Originally, even if she hadn't been recognized as an ancestor, if it wasn't for Liu Yu's selfishness, the original owner would still be a pure and innocent person. She used to be an innocent, kind-hearted little girl who had fantasies about life. Who was it that made her so vicious and vicious? Who was the one who covered her with thorns and targeted Meng Shireen at every turn? Wasn't it only right for her to target Meng Shireen? She felt aggrieved, wronged, and indignant, because none of the people who had harmed her had been punished. They had not even received the simplest punishment of flogging, so how could they lose their heads? Because those people were forced to do so. They were innocent and forced to do so. In just a few words, they had cleared themselves of all wrongdoings. She had suffered so much and finally found out the truth, but this was the result. Could she still be kind and beautiful? Since the princess has made up her mind, Wei Sun will naturally cooperate. The princess in front of him had a calm expression, but Wei Sun felt that he was in a terrifying vortex, surrounded by a very violent aura. That feeling was a little scary, but also a little fresh. Eunuch Wei, we can begin now. The first thing I want you to do is to announce the truth of this matter with reason and evidence. Furthermore, we have evidence that Liu Yu, the Ming clan, and Meng Shireen all know that Meng Shireen is a fake princess. All right, Your Highness, you'll have to suffer here for a while. There's no hurry. I can afford to wait. 1 day, 100 days, it doesn't make much difference to me. Wei Sun couldn't help but look at Tanghua again. If it were any other woman who said this, they might have a pained expression. However, she played it down so casually, as if she really didn't care about these few days. Wei Sun will take his leave. I'll visit the princess another day. Wei Sun walked away with somewhat relaxed steps. After taking 2 steps, he couldn't help but look back and find that Tanghua was staring at the lotus flowers in the lake very seriously. Perhaps this was the power of the bloodline? The princess's return couldn't do anything to the empress, but it was definitely a life and death calamity for Meng Shireen. The crown prince was infatuated with Meng Shireen. The crown prince was the empress' only son, so it had a great impact on the empress. If the crown prince's image could be damaged because of this matter, it would be good. Thinking of this, Wei Sun's smile deepened. Peak. Chapter 43-42. In less than 3 days, Wei Sun came to see Tanghua again. With his identity, of course, he was an honored guest of Immortal Academy. They still met at Yuntingxian. Both of them sat at the stone table. Wei Sun's people stood far away on the 2 paths leading to Yuntingxian. They were surrounded by lakes, so no one could come close and listen to them. Princess, I found out something that might be beneficial to us. Tanghua felt from the beginning that even if Wei Sun was capable, it was impossible to carry out the plan perfectly in 3 days. The evidence of those people mixing up the royal bloodline was definitely not something that could be prepared in a day or 2. Even if it was prepared, they had to find an opportunity to expose this matter. Tanghua asked calmly, "What is it?" "This matter is about Empress Dowager Chen. Princess was very young when she was lost, so you may not remember this." Wei Sun continued to explain. The relationship between Empress Dowager Chen and Empress Dowager Su is very good. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are life and death friends. And now Princess Yunjin and the Emperor are with Empress Dowager Su. Princess Yunjin is your biological mother. Wei Sun saw that Tanghua's gaze finally fell on him and said, "Not long after Empress Dowager Su passed away, Empress Dowager Chen caught a strange illness and can only lie in bed now. The Empress and Empress Dowager Chen have some grudges, but she pretends to be very gentle and kind in front of the fake princess. She often asks the fake princess to visit Empress Dowager Chen. I suspect that the Empress has ulterior motives. She clearly doesn't like Empress Dowager Chen. So why does she ask the fake princess to visit Empress Dowager Chen?" Wei Sun asked. Tanghua couldn't help but look at Wei Sun. This fake eunuch's water was quite deep. He could actually connect this matter. If she hadn't worked hard to manage her reputation, she wouldn't have been able to attract Wei Sun's attention. Naturally, he wouldn't have been able to find out this, right? Princess, you may not know my doubts, so I will analyze them with you one by one. Wei Sun was very patient. In his opinion, this talented and intelligent princess was worth cooperating with. He would slowly analyze that there was an unresolvable hatred between the empress and her. Then the princess would be on his side. Okay, Eunuch Wei, please speak. Because Empress Dowager Qian and Empress Dowager Su are life and death friends and Empress Dowager Chun doesn't have any children under her name. She treats Empress Dowager Su's children as her own. Princess Yunjin was actually married far away. After her husband died, Empress Dowager Chun made the decision to let the emperor send a decree to bring Princess Yunjin back. It could be seen how much she cared for Empress Dowager Su's children because of her relationship with her. As for you, you were unfortunately lost when Princess Yunjin returned to the old capital. Tangwa didn't know about this background. She didn't expect her to get lost like this. The princess went missing because Princess Yunjin encountered an assassin on her way back. In her panic, she instinctively hid the princess. When I went back to look for her, the princess had already disappeared. Assassin? Tangwa grasped the key point. Who would kill a princess without any power? Her husband had already died, and she was only brought back because of Empress Dowager Qian's pity? Wei Sun saw that Tangwa was lost in thought, and he laughed. I think the princess has some guesses in your heart. Princess Yunjin doesn't involve anyone's interests, nor does she participate in any forces. Who would arrange for someone to kill her? Eunuch Wei, who do you suspect? Tangwa looked up at Wei Sun's eyes. Top point. Chapter 43-43. There is no evidence at the moment. Wei Sun doesn't dare to speak carelessly, Wei Sun replied. However, as long as someone did this, there will definitely be traces left behind. Sooner or later, the truth will be revealed. Then do you have anyone you suspect? I want to hear the truth. Tangwa rolled her eyes in her heart. What kind of bad habit was he to speak in such a roundabout manner? Wei Sun felt that Tangwa was unhappy and whispered, Empress, if you have any doubts next time, just say it directly. You don't have to hide anything in front of me. It's just a guess. I won't do anything without evidence. Wei Sun looked at Tang with serious expression and suddenly felt a little better. Okay, then tell me, why is Empress Dowager Qian's existence beneficial to us? When he heard Tangwa say us, Wei Sun thought that Tangwa had already treated him as one of her own. This princess was really a wonderful person. Since she liked her straightforward personality, he would speak more directly in front of her in the future. According to my investigation, Empress Dowager Qian didn't pay much attention to this fake princess. I feel that Empress Dowager Qian is a little suspicious of the fake princess's identity. Do you mean that the fake princess's identity can be used as a breakthrough from Empress Dowager Qian's side? Or let her know the truth first? Tangwa didn't expect Wei Sun to observe so carefully. Empress Dowager Qian clearly didn't dislike Meng Shurin. She just acted a little cold, and he noticed it. As for the others, they probably didn't care about this. She guessed that Empress Dowager Qian was sick, so she was more cold, right? Fortunately, this Wei Sun wasn't one of the Empress's men. Otherwise, Empress Dowager Qian would have been killed long ago. That's right. Also, I found something else. Empress Dowager Qian's strange illness is probably not simple. Wei Sun was actually a little excited. The difficult thing now was that he couldn't find a solution to Empress Dowager Qian's strange illness. If he could find a solution, then Empress Dowager Qian could become the person who suppressed the Empress. The person who did this was most likely the Empress. What surprised him even more was that there were actually people of the Empress by Empress Dowager Qian's side. He could guarantee that the Empress must have done something to Empress Dowager Qian. The power that he controlled was the Emperor's sole authority. Therefore, he was not familiar with the harem. However, after so many years of concealment, he still buried some clues that he had not used before. Now that it suddenly came into play, he realized that the water in the harem was indeed very deep. Wei Sun analyzed Empress Dowager Qin's situation with Tanghua. If what you said is true, then Empress Dowager Qin's situation is not very good. She can't even protect herself, so how can she help us? The reason why Empress Dowager Qin's situation is not good is because she is surrounded by the Empress's people. The Empress pretends to be gentle and kind in front of the Emperor, but on the surface, she is always considerate of Empress Dowager Qin. His Majesty is very busy every day. As long as there is no trouble in the harem, he won't care about the details. Even if the Emperor occasionally goes back to visit Empress Dowager Qin, he can't stay for too long. When he sees that she's fine and everything is fine, he leaves. Empress Dowager Qin is surrounded by the Empress's people. They have many ways to make Empress Dowager Qin unable to speak. Tanghua felt that Wei Sun was indeed a character. He had even guessed this. The reason why the Empress was able to hide it from the Emperor each time was because the Emperor would call her before he went to see Empress Dowager Qin. Vertex. Chapter 43-44. The reason was that she had been too kind all these years. The Emperor felt that he had misunderstood the Empress the most and treated her better. Naturally, he trusted her more. However, he did not know that every time he visited Empress Dowager Qin, the Empress would ask someone to prepare in advance. Empress Dowager Qin could not speak and could only fall asleep. It gave people the feeling that Empress Dowager Qin's personality had become cold because of her illness. Eunuch Wei, have you found out what illness Empress Dowager Qin has? Wei Sun shook his head. I haven't found out what illness she has, but I don't think it's an illness. It might be poison. It's just that the symptoms are too strange. I've asked many skilled doctors these few days, but they have no clue. Tanghua was right. If Empress Dowager Qin's illness did not improve, this benefit would not be much of a benefit to them. Eunuch Wei, can you tell me about Empress Dowager Qin's exact illness? At this moment, Tanghua had a new idea. Let Wei Sun and Empress Dowager Qin work together. When the time came, she would inform Empress Dowager Qin and let her cooperate. System. Host. Don't you think this is called cheating? Wei Sun could not help but look at Tanghua. He knew that this princess who had led a wandering life was talented. Could it be that she also knew medicine? My adoptive parents used to like to travel. When I was young, they often brought me to various places to live. They had a lot of knowledge, and I also learned a little about various difficult diseases. Wei Sun understood very well when he heard that. He remembered that some time ago, when he heard those scholars talk about Miss Guo from Immortal Beauty Academy, their expressions were very complicated. They asked Miss Guo, do you know how to play the zither? She said, I know a little. They asked Miss Guo, I heard that you write well? She said, I can barely read. They asked, Miss Guo, do you know how to compose poems? She said, I know a little. In the end, she was proficient in everything and was a master. This made all the scholars in the capital no longer dare to use the word know a little to express their modesty. To them, knowing a little had become being proficient in modesty. They were not worthy of knowing a little. Wei Sun did not hide anything and told her about Empress Dowager Qin's situation. The Imperial Academy of Medicine was very clear about Empress Dowager Qin's illness. It was not difficult for him to know this. After hearing this, Tanghua fell into deep thought. Wei Sun observed her for a while and didn't disturb her. Instead, he sipped the tea in his cup and enjoyed the beautiful scenery of the lake against the breeze. After a long time, Tanghua said, You're saying that Empress Dowager Qin can't move her limbs and can't even feel them. Only her head is normal? According to the records of the Imperial Academy of Medicine, it's like this. I also asked the doctors I know who have good medical skills, but they couldn't guess what happened. It really doesn't seem like a strange disease. Tanghua frowned and thought. Under Wei Sun's attention, she suddenly opened her eyes. I remember something. What is it? Wei Sun asked anxiously. Could it be that this princess, who had been stranded outside, could really find a way to cure Empress Dowager Qin? If that was the case, then they were simply at the right place at the right time. Just the fact that they could save the Empress Dowager would make her position special. System, kid, you're thinking too much. In Empress Dowager Chen's heart, the host has long been the most special. You're so special. I once followed my adoptive parents everywhere and heard of a strange worm called the zombie worm. This worm is produced in a cold place. The colder the place, the higher the survival rate. Peak. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.